All right, let's see if the dashboard will beckon
Hello,
us
Americans.
with its
This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news.
Stand by for the news. We're gonna tell you, dang old. All right, so I need hold on here. I gotta open up the Stream Elements feed so I can see the activitars. Let's talk some tech.
We talk about tech.
Man, I have like 75 accounts logged into Stream Elements for some reason, which is funny because I've never streamed on any of the other accounts. What am I doing? Weird. All right, let's see. Okay, I got the activity feed up. Cool.
There we go.
So anybody that's feeling generous today, we can make sure that we can see them and call them out and give them all the loves. All the love. Wait, that's not the right one.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
It could be.
Hold on, let me scroll down and see if there's anything. I mean,
if you decide that it's the right one.
I mean, it says a bunch of people have subscribed, but it doesn't. I don't see any messages. Where are the messages? Messages go. We got to be able to see super chat messages.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll see them.
Somebody sent us $1 to make sure it works.
Oh, they did? Okay, hold on.
No. I'm requesting.
Oh, somebody sent us $1. Oh, we're doing that bit again. All right, guys. If you could, we need to test the $100 notification.
The super chats are broken. You guys
works every time.
How about some words of encouragement? It's another day in Empire. You can do it.
You can do it, man. Just hang in there, and every day is your oyster.
Actually, interesting that you should bring that up this morning. Who said that?
Who dat?
Techno City. That's fun because he's got like
Techno City.
It's like a negative no about words of encouragement stuff. So I'm gonna put this out there. I don't often talk my internal stuff, but it's relevant to the comment, and I think it's important we talk about it. I know sometimes
hear about your internal stuff.
I know sometimes we talk about emotional stuff and and feeling, let's get the feels, pumping up other people and that sort of thing. This morning, man, I woke up. I was feeling bad.
I was too.
Feel bad. I tell my lady, I'm like, man, you ever feel just like, man, I want to cry for no reason? It's gonna
I just cry on it. I do cry every day.
I do. Yeah. Look, normalize that shit. It's okay. Okay, crying's a good thing. It helps you release pent up emotions and shit. There's no other way to get rid of that stuff, and you just gotta
100%.
So don't feel like, oh, manly man shit. That's how people die. But that's similar but adjacent. The encouragement, words of encouragement. So, as I'm sure Jerry for sure knows, but I'm sure some of the audience knows as well, that it's a dream of mine to build PCs and stream it. That's I keep saying that. It's my heart yearns for it.
And you're good at it.
And really though, it's the live content in general. That's why I love doing this every week and love being in front of people, love doing this stuff. She I'm not going to say this correctly. I don't grab all the things that she said this morning, but it was encouraging, but not in the way that you might think. It wasn't like, yeah, rah, rah, you can do it, go, blah, that sort of a thing. Oh, that's cool. It converts. So I just saw the super chat pop up from IME. You gave us 100 sexes, but it converts on the alert. It converted it to 1183. That's cool.
Yeah, it does on mine too. That. I can see it in the thing. Test. Yeah, thank you so much for that $11 IME.
It works. It worked.
Woo.
But it was still very encouraging because she's like, look, this is something I've beat myself up a lot about, and I get down. Oh man, I'm not doing very good, and like I know all the ways that I can do better, and this and that. And she's like, look, you really got to think. Like, is this gonna work for your personality? Is this gonna work for the way that your brain works, the way that you are, just the way that you are? Like, are you the kind of person that can all by yourself make this work? Like, legit. And it was strangely encouraging. I didn't have like a real quick answer. It was just more like something to chew on. And but I thought that it was very encouraging that it wasn't like, yeah, like almost a false pump up, like, yeah, you can do it, yeah, because some people do that. Unrealistic.
Yeah, it was genuine. It wasn't the knee jerk that some people do, like, oh, hey, you doing all right? Like, how's your day? It's like kind of a loaded question,
right? And it also wasn't like, no, like, this is dumb, what are you doing? Like, she wasn't dragging me down saying, no, you can't. And it wasn't also like the empty, it kind of feels a little empty sometimes when people are just like, yeah, go for it, woohoo.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because sometimes it's unrealistic. It really, really is. And so it was strangely encouraging for her to be like, look, you really need to sit down and figure out, can you do this the way that you've been trying to do this? Because like you beat yourself up. You're not, you're really hard on yourself when things aren't going the way you think they should. And like, but seriously, sit down and think about like, can you make this work the way that you've been trying to make it work? Like really?
Yeah.
And it was very strangely encouraging because it wasn't like, I don't know, it just wasn't like the normal kind of advice or like encouragement that you would hear, but it was like real. And it was kind of a reality check, a little gut check in a sense. Like really think about it. Because like she's like, man, you beat yourself up. I feel bad that you feel bad. And so.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you found something that resonated with you. Because like in my case, I have a lot of people around me, and I love it. I absolutely love it that people like are trying to support me and trying to get me back up. There's not a lot that they can do, really. Sure. Honestly, there's a lot. The average person, there's not a lot that they can do really to save me from my own demons. So, but it's like when you get into the motions where everybody around you just, they don't really know what to do. You don't know what to do, and it's just like, hey, I'm sorry you're going through that. I'm sorry you're going through that. And then after a while, you're like, that's just the default canned response.
Yeah.
And I love that they're thinking of me, but it just better illustrates the point that there is no solution here. And it makes me get discouraged because people are just like, I'm sorry you're going through that. It's like, come on, solution. let's have a little think tank here and figure out how to solve this problem. But you can tell when it's starting to become like solidified that that's just how things are going to be from now on. Right. And people start kind of falling back into that. All right, well, we're out of a suggestion, so let's just feel bad for the guy.
Well, yeah, right. It's like, and sometimes there isn't really anything external.
A lot of times,
like it does get to a point where you got to sit down and kind of what can I do?
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah, and
I appreciate the support,
shit, bro. I that's why I didn't stream yesterday. I completely lost my shit. I had a fucking mental breakdown again yesterday. These are becoming way too frequent. Yeah. Luckily, I've got an appointment with my therapist, I think on Tuesday. I think this Tuesday I finally get to see my therapist. I haven't been able to see her for like over a month just because of holidays and everything like that. So that'll be a big one for me. Therapy is something that I hugely believe in. You got to find the right person though. Like therapy can screw you up even more if you get the wrong person. You need the right person.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
That's another thing to like normalize. It's like, man, you gotta like talking to somebody, not just anybody. Like, and again, like it's not just finding the right therapist, but finding a like objective third party, somebody who's not your friend, your coworker, your mom, your dad, somebody who's not like, I want to say emotionally invested, but that's not quite right because like obviously a therapist has to be a little bit invested, otherwise they can't care enough to like help you.
Absolutely.
But like they're not, it's not their job. Like, your friend, it's your friend's job to like pump you up and to like almost kind of sugarcoat things and to like kind of soften things or to like give you a more positive perspective on things. Whereas like a therapist, that's not their job. Their job is to help you to like work through these things, whether you like it or not, kind of.
I think
does that sound right? Like it doesn't feel like right coming out of my mouth.
It depends on what type of therapist or what therapy you're after.
Okay.
In my case, it's talk therapy. And the cool thing about talk therapy is you basically have somebody who's just listening to everything you say and trying to figure out when you're trying to jump over something or you're leaving out a piece of the puzzle intentionally or unintentionally, and then trying to draw that out of you. So like, one of the things my therapist does is she'll notice like when I'm really, really avoiding something, like I'm talking about everything else, but I'm not talking about the one thing, she'll keep bringing up that one thing and giving me an opportunity to touch on it. Yeah. And if I don't want to, then she'll move to a different location and try again. But a good therapist knows how to like sit there and basically document like what you're saying, but what's really going on is being concealed, either because it hurts too much or it's something that you don't want to address or something that you don't want to admit is causing a lot of the problems. And they'll kind of draw that out. But if you get defensive or something like that, they know exactly how to like change the subject really fast or back away from it and never apply pressure. That's the one thing a therapist never does. They don't want to back you into a wall or into a corner and have you like freak out on it, right? Because that's not productive. That throws away everything. So they just kind of like wait. It's weird. It's almost like there's this little attack animal just waiting for their prey to be in the perfect position to strike. and they'll feel out the water, and a good therapist will figure out exactly when to bring up something that you normally don't want to talk about to where you just open the floodgates and let it rip.
Nice.
And then what you do, you feel a lot better. That's the big thing. It's like you don't even really have to solve the problem per se. You just have to kind of go through and experience what you were like, because a lot of people, and I'm one of these people, I focus on the wrong things.
Sure.
Like when I'm trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with me on a day where I'm feeling like super depressed and I just want to like, go have a lead sandwich in the closet. My mind is just in a really dark place. And it's like, I think of all the things that aren't really that important to driving me to that state. It's like, I ignore the things that actually drive me to that state because I just don't want to think about those things. They're too painful, either subconsciously or not. So therapy is really good when you're talking about those things. And it's like, they know exactly the right questions to ask to basically put you into a situation where now all you can think about are the things that you were completely avoiding.
Right.
And then you talk about them. And a good therapist is one where you can literally like tell her like, oh man, I snorted 5 lines of coke last night and like buried a hooker 300 feet out under that river back there. I mean, you can tell a good therapist anything. Like if you're not comfortable with your therapist, that's another thing. Like if you can, it might take a little while, but if you can't get comfortable with your therapist, like you feel like they're too judgmental, or you feel like you have a weird relationship with them where you want them to think that you're somebody you're not, because that's another thing people do. We tend to put up a persona for people.
Well, yeah.
And that's something that you can't do with a therapist, because your persona is basically an unrealistic thing. Like that's the whole reason you're struggling, is because if you were that persona, you wouldn't have a problem.
Right.
So you have to drop the act, so to speak. And a good therapist, you can do that. Like I could literally talk to my therapist about anything. Be like, oh my God, I had a hemorrhoid and I popped it and it blew up all over the place. And my cat came in and like, my cat like puked on me while I was sleeping. Like anything, it could be any embarrassing thing, and it doesn't faze you. Like you feel like you're just like, okay, so put this together and tell me what you think I might want to try.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool. I think therapy is really cool. And the funny thing is I was abused by counselors growing up, like straight up verbally abused, physically abused, luckily not sexually abused, but I got the shit beat out of me, slapped around by him. I had a PE teacher that basically just about knocked my ass out. Like I've had some bad run-ins. Well, if you knew where I went to school growing up, I had all these like really, really bad experiences with authority and people that had my trust, like my counselor. I opened up to my counselor back in school. First thing they did is call my parents while I was in the counseling session and basically tell my parents everything while I'm sitting there like, what the hell are you doing?
Man, school counselors are like your company's HR department.
Yeah.
They're not there to fucking help the kids, man. They're there to protect the school from you shooting them up or you beating somebody to death or whatever. Like they're not
causing
there
it.
I'm sorry, but my not to that extent, but my experience with school counselors was shit.
It's terrible.
Not in the same way, but like they're not there for the kids. Come on.
Yeah, that scared me away though. That scared me away from any kind of counseling or therapy as an adult. And I even told my therapist, the only reason I even agreed to go meet this therapist was because it's my friend's therapist. We share I got introduced to her from a friend who's been going to this therapist for years. And I was really guarded when I went. The first thing I told my therapist, say, listen, I've had a bad experience with counseling. I've had a bad experience with therapy. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. And she looked at me and she's like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't ever have to tell me anything that you don't want to tell anybody. And she's like, if I ever violate your trust, I have it coming towards me. Whatever's coming towards me, I have coming towards me. She's like, that's how the world works. And I was like, ooh, okay, that's an interesting take on things. Let's test the waters a little bit. So I did, and she stayed true to it. So, and I love that.
I bet that's a common thing with therapists and stuff. Like people come in there real, sensitive or bristly. Like, I don't trust you. This is dumb. I don't, right? Like you don't, I feel like maybe, and then the other side of that coin is why people might avoid therapy is like, oh, I just don't trust the process. I don't trust, this is dumb, blah, 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 blah. And, and so they don't, right? Aren't we over therapied? 13,000 years of civilizations dealt without therapy. They sure had it. They called it talking with their mates. No, I don't. There might be something to be said about over medicated.
That's like saying we've made it 13 million years without doctors. We didn't need doctors back then, but our life expectancy was like 18.
There was I just read a quick, it wasn't like a full article. I don't think it was more, it was presented as an article, but it was really, really short. It was like just a couple paragraphs, but it talked about, it was the big question was like, are we over medicating, in the sense of antidepressants, where like, look, man, sometimes you're going to go through a really bad spot.
Yeah.
Right. Like this part of my life is really shitty. And maybe I need these for now. Right. Like suicidal ideation or whatever. And I need a little bit help to get through this weird dark spot.
Totally.
But like the angle needs the angle that this article was taken was like, look, we need a better like talk therapy and that sort of a thing. It doesn't always have to be medicated. Like sometimes you're in a bad spot and you just need somebody to listen or to give you good advice, a good coping mechanisms, because either you or the people around you don't have the right tools to properly help.
No, I agree.
And the gal who was writing the articles had talked like there's 2-3 times in my life where antidepressants literally saved my life. You know, like spouse died or something like that, and like I was in a really, really dark place, and I needed chemical assistance to get through this. But for the most part, and the big question was like, for the most part, do we really need to be medicating this stuff when maybe what people really need is just a helping hand, a human helping hand to like, hey, you can get through this. Here's here's what can help that isn't a pill.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, over medicated, I definitely think so.
Oh, I'm 100% that, and I am a medicated person. So
right, like, and that's purely a gut thing. Like, I don't have anything to point to and say, like, yes, see all this data. Actually, from personal experience, I went to see my GP, my general practitioner, right, my just normal doc, my doctor, the guy I go for checkups and stuff, right. And this was a couple years back. Really started trying to explore like my anxiety and like these feelings of being just down out of nowhere, like wake up one morning and I just want to bawl my eyes out. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? This is super weird. And a 20-minute talk with my general practitioner, just this is not a mental health provider. This is my MD, right? My doctor. He cuts me a script for Lexapro, antidepressant, SSRI. I thought that I'm on the one hand, I was really surprised. Like, you're just going to cut me a script for antidepressants after like a 20-minute talk with me.
Yep.
I was surprised. Like, that seemed very strange. But on the other hand, like, hey, I'm willing to trust this process. He gave me the 2-week thing. Like, hey, we're going to try this out. I did eventually get like a bigger one, like a full subscription or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Prescription. Chose not to go down that path because of like side effects and stuff. But I did think that was very strange. And I think that I get at least points towards the over medication of humanity in a sense.
I look at it like tools though. It's like if you need the right tool for the right job, but you don't know it's the right tool for the right job until you try it.
Right.
Like, so, and doctors are a lot like that. Like even the pill pusher doctors, it's like sometimes the drug they give you that works for their previous patient, like screws you up. Yeah. And the drug they give you is the one that didn't work on their previous patient, and that's the one that vibes with you. So sometimes they have to just try stuff. And like for me, I was on, I think the first one they put me on was Lexapro, and then they moved me over to something called Cymbalta, and then ultimately something called Wellbutrin. And they all had pros and cons, clear pros and cons. But the one thing that I did notice was on the Cymbalta, I didn't like the Lexapro, but the Cymbalta actually did even out my emotions. It made me I stopped like stress eating, which is weird because usually that's a side effect as you do stress eat more. But I was an overall happier person, but then my shit just stopped working.
That's what got me with the Lexapro.
Yeah, and Lexapro does, all SSRIs have that side effect, unfortunately. And it doesn't happen immediately. It's like after 2 weeks, a week or 2 weeks, it's like it's just gone. You're just like, you just accept that's part of your life, that's donezo. Or you have to stack another drug on top of it, you know, if you want anything. But the Wellbutrin is like what they put me on, which doesn't have that side effect. But unfortunately, the Wellbutrin had a stimulant effect and didn't have as much of an antidepressant effect. So it really wasn't working for me. The side effects were outweighed. So I finally just called it quits after about a year. And getting off of SSRIs is pretty hard too. Make sure that you titrate. Don't just cold turkey like I did. That's really dangerous.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah.
I like this comment. Christopher Herbon here in the chat. He says, also ancient humans were worrying about needs that are lower on the hierarchy, like not being eaten and finding food. People nowadays have more time to explore emotions than ever before. 100%. In fact, like that kind of came up just the other night. This is a little tangent.
I like tangents.
Well, like early in the pandemic, all the rioting and stuff, right?
Yep.
Like, and people are like, oh wow, what the heck? Why is this happening? Right? You know, and this was not just in the United States, everywhere.
Yeah, worldwide.
Like the whole world fucking stood up and was like, fuck you, right? And they're like, whoa, what the, this is so crazy. What is going on? Well, think about it. Think about it. These aren't new problems, right? This shit has been simmering for decades.
Totally.
It was a perfect storm. Everybody can't go anywhere, can't work, can't go to work, can't go anywhere or distract. There's nothing to distract you.
Yeah,
you aren't struggling to survive, for one, which most people, at least in the United States, there's a good chunk of folk are just trying to get by.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can't, when you're struggling to make rent, you can't stand up to your oppressors. Right. But we hit this perfect storm of nobody's allowed to go distract themselves with anything. So what else are we going to do? Well, we're going to start fighting back. And like, it's still rolling. And it's a similar sort of thing. I don't have to struggle against tigers and shit, or like the tribe next door. So now I have the time to, and and it's not just like a survival state either. Look at art and poetry and stuff for centuries. Like, we've been trying to deal with emotion. Like, some of the greatest poetry out there is always dealing with emotional shit. You know, we've been struggling with this sort of stuff for centuries. It's not anything new. It's like the whole, social media is evil. No, we've been doing the same shit we've been doing the same shit forever. We've all been ignoring each other, whether it's newspapers or books or slate tablets or whatever. We've all been hating and ignoring each other for centuries. It's just a lot more obvious to us all now because we have global reach. We can, like, none of this stuff is new. Okay. It's just more obvious. And it goes for mental health. I love that mental health is like a humongous topic that everybody's really talking about nowadays.
Well, it really needs to be.
Because I love these comments of like, oh, we didn't have this stuff back in my day. No, instead you had a 60% suicide rate in men or whatever. Like, fucking dudes were beating each other up and killing themselves in closets or killing their wives. Oh, divorce rate's higher now. Yeah, because women can get bank accounts without their fucking dad putting their name on it.
You know what else?
In the 70s. That's only been around since the 70s, by the way, people. Okay. That a woman can get her own bank account without her dad or her husband on the account.
Yeah, it's crazy how far we've come. Literally in 50 years.
Because women couldn't escape their shitty marriages back in the day. That's why divorce rates are higher.
No, it's ridiculous, dude.
You know, we didn't have all these gay people back in the... Yeah, because you would have drugged them behind your truck back in the day, okay? Jerry, or not, I'm sorry, I didn't mean you. I meant hillbilly Jerry guy, fucking... I'm just like...
Sorry, it's a common hillbilly name. I actually was raised redneck, so it doesn't apply.
I didn't think about it. I don't mean you. But like, people are like, oh, this stuff didn't exist back in the day. No. One, you couldn't talk about a lot of this stuff because you'd get beat the shit out of or killed. You know, they'd string you up. And then, and two, it's a lot easier to hear more stories. Right? These things are a lot more, it seems like these things are a lot more common now, or like we're making this stuff up, but it's because we're in a position to be exposed to the experiences of other people a lot more. Back in the 50s and stuff, you didn't know what the fuck was going on in the next town over. You know? So this is very much, you know, I don't know where I was going with that. I was just saying, just ranting. Yeah, same with the ADHD. Yeah. Like, this mental thing has been this stuff has existed for a long time. It's just now we're able to talk about it a lot more. You can find people who have had similar experiences as you a lot easier, that kind of stuff. So, thoughts on the new variant? I only just saw this. There's like another new one in Africa or something. I saw something about that. I have no thoughts.
What's that?
Get vaccinated, fucks.
That's the best thing ever. That's my
thoughts. That's my thoughts on the new variant. Get vaccinated. That's all I have to say about that.
Stop being so goddamn selfish.
Oh. or don't, and die. I don't care. Reduce. I'm putting my grit.
I'm
my
loving the hot takes.
My Scrooge hat on and lower the surplus population. Stay away from me and my people, and you know what? Leper colonies and shit. Go away. We're gonna send you to. Shit, we don't have a place to send weirdos who don't want to follow society anymore.
Yeah, rockets are expensive stuff.
Well, we can't just ship them off to Australia like we used to. So I'm sorry, that's terrible. I know
you send enough of them to Australia, and they all form together and create a decent community.
Yeah, I love seeing the. I think it's like their PM, their prime minister's like kind of a salty dude, like in the funniest way possible. About like they put out, or maybe it was New Zealand, they put out like some like goofy commercial about how it was like a sideways like at America and how we've handled like politics and the pandemic and all kinds of stuff. But it was like done up like a really bad like car commercial kind of thing. They're like one lady's wearing like a blue outfit and the other lady's wearing like a red outfit, and they're like, oh, you can pick between two shitty options and blah blah blah. And it was actually supposed to be, it was for what do they call it, the tiered voting kind of thing, where like you put, oh, here's my number one choice, here's my number two choice, and third choice. Ranked choice voting, I think, was what the thing, that's what they were pushing, but it was coming from an angle of like how shitty a two-party system is and how you can only vote for one or the other. And a lot of it was really funny. I if you can find it out there, chat, is really fun and funny. It's pretty recent.
I've seen some hot takes of their prime minister guy or whatever, where it's like,
it was great.
During the fires, he like went to somebody's house where like they lost everything and everything burnt down, and he was like trying to get like a to camera piece of him comforting him, and they just kept calling him all kinds of like threats and names and telling him he was a piece of crap, and don't come down here to get your little soundbite or whatever for your campaign, you ain't doing shit. And it was like, I was just laughing so hard because like he flew in there with a helicopter to try to like, you know, shake hands and be like, yeah, we're trying to help you, and everybody's like, oh, my shit's gone and you're out here trying to make more campaign money, get out of here. Like, it was hilarious. Cool. I saw an interesting comment over here.
Oh yeah,
I did. Where did it go? Hopefully Miss Liz didn't pop it, because it was a good one I wanted to respond to. Oh no, it was Techno City. He's got an interesting comment. He's like, my mom has like legitimate medical conditions why she can't get the vaccine. So if she can't get it, neither will him. And I want him to realize how stupid that is. Okay, Techno City, I'm sorry, but you literally laid the groundwork for that one. The reason you should get vaccinated is because your mom can't get vaccinated, because by you not getting vaccinated, you are putting her at risk of dying from COVID.
Yeah, you're gonna make it worse. Because if you do get it, if you do catch it from somewhere, it's going to be worse.
It's going to be way worse.
Your viral load will be higher, and you have a higher chance of transmitting it to her.
Yeah, it doesn't stop transmission, but it'll slow it down.
That's the point of regular folk getting vaccinated, is to help protect the people who can't. It makes it like, yeah.
Oh, even worse. He said she has rheumatoid arthritis and heart disease. Those are comorbidities that drop her ass dead, dude. You have to get vaccinated.
Like, and this is the point of the vaccine, of them all. Like this is why like healthcare workers, like people who work in like old folk homes or assisted living facilities and things like that, are highly. In fact, I believe if you're like a CNA or higher in those sorts of environments, you have to get the flu shot. I think maybe that's flexible for some places. I don't really know. I worked front desk and in the kitchen at one, and they recommended it, but I didn't have to, because I didn't have like.
That's why I don't understand why they have to have a mandate for this now, because all the other vaccines, like the influenza vaccine and everything, all the health workers get it. If you go to a hospital, go ask anybody, even the anti-vaxxer people, if they have the influenza vaccine. They do.
So yes, like it's not a perfect thing. It's not a shield that like you're never gonna catch it, because that's the case for all vaccines, by the way.
Yeah. So anyways, protect your moms, dude, because I'm going to tell you a story, because I think I can save a life here.
Sure.
My friend Brandon, you guys know better as Basherverse, okay?
Sure.
Or Toasty was what he went by last when he was live streaming. He died from COVID. He wasn't an anti-vaxxer. He just didn't get vaccinated because he was a homebody, and he didn't really go out in public that often. He was kind of a little bit of a hermit.
Fucking Basher, man.
And so he stayed. Yeah. So he stayed home, and his girlfriend was vaccinated, and she was basically living with him. And his dad was the person that wasn't vaccinated in the house. Well, dad went out and came home and had COVID, and he passed COVID on to Brandon. And Brandon, his dad survived. His dad had a really rough go, but in the end, his dad survived. He went to the hospital and fought until he died. No amount of treatment they gave him would turn it around. His lungs just kept failing. His oxygen kept dropping, and he effectively just died over the course of fighting this thing for like weeks. So
I'm able to empathize a little bit with like the distrust. Like, why are they pushing this so hard? Like, why is this?
Oh, totally.
I don't, and it makes people suspicious. Like, because yeah, they don't push the flu shot this much. They don't push, I don't know any other like yearly chicken pox, I guess, maybe, or something.
Well, a lot of them they don't have to push because they're mandated. Like, you can't go to public school without your TDAP. You can't go to a lot of jobs without having vaccinations. You can't even enter the military without your vaccinations. So
that's the other side of the coin of like not trusting, being suspicious of the government push of this stuff. But like, what's funny is you go back, rewind the tape, right? And you go back and you look at every single time the government has said, you all got to do this. There's always been pushback.
Yeah.
Pasteurized milk, fucking seat belts, fucking like everything that the government has come out and said, hey, this is for the greater good of all of us. Do it. People
I like to think
fuck you.
I have a little bit of a different way to look at it too. And that is, if the government is pushing it so hard, what are we to the government? If you think about it, like, what are we to the? We are just bags of money, right? We are labor, we are money, we are resources. Human beings to the government are currency. That's why they want more and more and more of us working and making money and paying taxes and moving that needle, right? Yeah. So what benefit would they have trying to release something to massively terminate the population after something is already doing it? That makes no sense. If COVID is already killing millions of people,
if they wouldn't have put out a vaccine,
you wouldn't have put out a vaccine. You would have been like, sorry guys, we don't know how to treat this thing. And all the rich people would have stayed in fucking HVAC controlled houses and everything, while all the poor people were out on the streets fucking getting it and spreading it around.
Yeah. If that was the plan, was to wipe out the population, there are way better ways of doing it.
Yeah, you don't wait until like everybody's already dying from something that naturally occurred and be like, oh, hey guys, we're gonna give you a cure. Like, and then we really got them now. No.
And there's definitely some shitty parts. Like,
David will be joining us here in a minute.
Oh, cool. So like Techno City says, you can't file medical malpractice if something goes bad. That I think is kind of shitty. That I do think that's wrong. Like, if something weird does happen and it can be directly attributed to this thing, then
that
there
should
should
be any sense. They don't have any kind of blanket protection.
They do. It's built in to all the I think it was part of the emergency authorization stuff. Like, you can't. They're not liable for.
You might not be able to sue Pfizer, but you could sue the shit out of the government. People sue the government for stuff every day you're not allowed to sue the government for.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually one of our rights as a human, is they cannot tell us that we cannot attempt to sue them for something. And if there's enough people behind it and there's enough raw and enough of a threat, it's going to go through.
Yeah, the courts can choose to look at whatever they like.
Yeah, they can change everything.
I do think the messaging across the board has been really terrible about this whole thing.
That I do agree with.
Like, I think they even early on, like they said things that it could have been said better. Like, they could have put a lot more like fuzziness to it. Like, hey, we're not really sure. A lot of this is we're still trying to figure this out. Like, had they pushed more of because like that's what science is about, right? Is like, you test something, you see the results, you try again, like over and over and over and over again. And I feel like a lot of the messaging was very absolute. And then when they changed their mind or had to adjust like the rules and stuff, people were like, well, but you said this blah 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 just 3 months ago. And it wasn't presented in a way of like, hey, we're doing this because we're not really sure, and so we need to take these precautions to better like handle these unknowns, I guess. But
yeah,
we're going way down a path that I didn't want to go down.
No, I actually wanted to go down this path because I think it's important to talk about this stuff. The more we just normalize just letting it go and leaving it alone, the more people die. So
yeah,
I'm getting older now. I'm starting to understand as I get older and I get more decrepit, I start understanding the value of life, right? You don't understand the value of life because when you're born, you're a selfish being for the first like half of your life. like completely selfish. And then as you get older and older and older, and you start to realize you have kids and you start interacting with more people and your friends start dying from whatever, you start to realize like how precious life is, like towards the end. And so stuff like this, I think it's important to talk about stuff like this. It might be uncomfortable for some people. It might get a little wild every once in a while with the hot takes, but I do think it's important that people at least talk about this stuff. That's the thing. Like, even just keeping that topic in the forefront of somebody's mind so that they think about it, ultimately down the road saves lives. It does. Yeah. Like, even if you put it in the ear of somebody who doesn't go get vaccinated, you're still getting it out to a bunch of people that might, or if they don't, they might talk to somebody else about it, and that person might go do a little research and get vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's good to talk about this stuff. I know it's an uncomfortable topic for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people show a lot of distrust, but here's the factors, right? The entire world is using these vaccines. The entire world is. This isn't just the United States. Our enemies are using it.
I think we're at a point of billions now. Like,
yeah. So, and it's been deployed for well over a year now in the wild. It has had less bad side effects than any of the influenza vaccines. So it's already proven to be less immediate effects, and everybody's like long-term effects in a year, something would have already manifested itself. If it was causing cancerous growth, or it was causing the multiplication of cancerous cells or something like that, there's no evidence showing any of that. And the whole world is looking at this, not just the United States, everybody. Freaking, you got even countries that deathly hate each other that would love nothing more than to gaslight each other by being, oh, that vaccine you created is garbage. And it's like it's not happening. So this is a good thing.
So much people like, oh, it's experimental. Like, they've never, the whole mRNA thing's we've been working on this sort of stuff since like the late 90s.
Long time.
Been, and I like, if you go back, like I cast my memory back, and like no, like they've talked about this stuff before. We're talking like silver bullet cures, right? Where, and I'm sure the audience at large has come across articles where like, oh, we were able to cure this person's special kind of cancer because we genetically altered this virus to like attack it. Like, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Like, we've done this stuff before. It just hasn't been done at this scale.
Yeah.
Like, it's like proof of concept. Like, I built this car. It's the only one, and it runs on peanut oil. Like, yay, it works. That's the 90s silver bullet cure for this one particular person's like thing. Now we're at a point where like, hey, everybody can have a car.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, and somebody in chat, I think it was Lex, just said like, you know, why bother getting the vaccine if you can still infect other people? It's like, because by you getting the vaccine, you're not going to build a viral load, and it's not going to mutate. That's the thing,
and
you don't want
less
mutations.
Likely to pass it on.
Yeah. So those are, and the thing is if the majority of the population, herd immunity is the goal. Whenever you're vaccinated, you might as well not even vaccinate if you can't get herd immunity, because if you don't get herd immunity, enough people are still going to get sick and spread it that it's going to mutate into something worse. And we've already seen that with COVID. You know, it's like we might slow it down, but all it takes is that one random mutation where this thing goes completely aggro. And, you know, there's an equal chance that it's going to create mutations that do nothing or even weaker. That does happen.
Yeah.
But the ones that obviously survive, you know, it's Darwinism. It doesn't matter if it's an animal or a virus. It's like whichever ones are more prominent and spread faster, those are the ones that are going to survive. And the other ones that are weaker are going to die off. The vaccine is the great equalizer, right? The vaccine is what's going to prevent you from creating a mutation and preventing you from passing something, or at least reduce the capacity of you spreading and passing something on, especially if all the other people you're around are also vaccinated, because all you guys are going to do is pass back and forth a weak virus that everybody's body knows how to kick the ever-living crap out of, and it's going to just diminish into nothing. So, and don't say you can't do it, because there's been tons of diseases that we have completely eradicated. Some of these diseases took out a third of the world's population. It's like, it can be done. You can actually, I mean, we have precedent for this. But you have to get enough people on board. And unfortunately today, it's like back in the day, without the internet, you'd have the guy go to the town. You'd be like, okay, we got a vaccine. We give it to you. You know, your people start getting better. Everybody starts slowly seeing everybody get better. And they're like, okay, problem solved. Now you've got the internet where it's like everything's second by second. Yeah. And everybody is like listening for the worst case scenario. Like, oh my God, I heard one person out of the million people that got vaccinated, this one person over here had a blood clot. It's like, you realize that there should be even more than 1% that have literally everything else happen to them. Like, that 1% is like statistically insignificant. But a lot of people don't really get statistics, right? And the media likes to get the view, so they obviously go for the clickbait, like, I'm selling all my cars. You know, it's like all the YouTubers are doing now, you know, it gets the views. It gets the views. So what do they do? They're like, oh my God, tragic new, like the Omicron. Everybody's talking about this Omicron variant, right?
Oh, that must be the new one.
New one.
I was literally looking at a newspaper of all things. They were talking about something out of like Ghana or something.
Yeah, I think it was Africa.
It's attacking young folk pretty hefty.
Yeah, they're saying that it's just more aggressive as far as transmission.
Yeah.
But apparently it has like, I think it's like 20 or 30 new protein spikes or something, which can allow it to, you know, better get around a vaccine. And it's spreading rapidly. So they're trying to, you know, keep it localized there and trying to do everything they can to shut it down and keep people with infections from spreading it around. But the thing is like, we still don't know 100% if that has a higher mortality rate or not, because that data is yet to be gathered. You know, so it's like they have to err on the side of fear. You always do. Like it's better to over protect and then reacting to under protection.
Right.
So that's why they have to, like, you know, when this stuff comes out, they have to be serious. And a good thing they did, because Delta turned out being amazingly bad. So it was a really good thing that we got to jump on that.
Yeah. Like, so Techno City says, don't you have the right to be selfish if you can choose if you want to share your organs on a driver's license? So this brings up an important concept. There's a cliched line of that goes, your right to swing your arm ends where my nose begins. Okay,
that's a good one, actually. I like that.
And the concept behind that is like, yeah, you're free to do as you like, so long as you're not harming other people. So my choice of whether or not to be an organ donor does not directly harm other folk.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe my kidney could have saved somebody's life if I was an organ donor. However, that choice, me saying I am not going to donate my organs upon death, does not directly affect others. Not really. Okay.
The situation where they need the organ is a situation that wasn't created by you.
Yeah.
Whereas spreading COVID is created by you. If you are not getting vaccinated and you are actively walking around spreading it, you are directly responsible for the people that you're infecting.
That goes to other things too. This is why it's illegal to drive drunk. Okay. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, sure. Being drunk on its own, fine. Totally. Nobody gives a fuck. Right. In fact, I can walk down the street being drunk or as high as I want. But it's until I start affecting other people, whether through my actions, drunken, disorderly, right? If I start smashing windows or just hooting and hollering and being a ruckus, I'm now affecting other people. My right to be drunk, I have every right because I'm over 21. I can drink and smoke whatever I want within the limits, of course. But it's not until I start affecting other people that it then becomes a problem. That's the difference, right?
No, I completely agree. Because you know me, I'm a huge proponent of people doing whatever they want as long as it's not, you know, negatively impacting others.
Shit in my sandbox.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like emotionally. Like I don't care if you want to hurt my emotions, way a big deal, right? It's like I understand that's your right to do that. I'm talking about stuff that causes physical harm, like where now you are taking away my rights to survive and exist in my space because you want to do something that's harmful to other people. You know, it's like that's where me personally I draw the line.
Yeah.
I want to thank some of our super chatters because we got quite a few of them this stream. I am me. Thank you for that $11 earlier. Emil Emmett, thank you for the $7.85 super chat. We got Jeffrey Tripp coming in with $5 super chat. He said I had a good cry this morning. Feels like life is staying stagnant, dude. You're not the only one. That is actually a really common feeling right now in cabin fever and feeling like you're spinning your tires and nothing's going anywhere. These are really common feelings right now associated with just a long-term isolation.
Right there with you. And yeah, like
it's unfortunate.
It's man. And like I've noticed, being publicly drunk is actually a crime. Only if you're causing a ruckus.
Yeah,
if you're just minding, I could be drunk as fuck just sitting on a park bench and nobody's gonna know because I'm just sitting there vibing with myself. But it's when I start causing a ruckus and start yelling and screaming and causing a, because if you're just if you're just doing your daily day, look, man, I've been high as fuck in public many times. Okay. And I ain't never got no trouble in it because I wasn't causing a disturbance.
Yeah. Unless you draw attention, nobody's going to care is what he's saying.
My bachelor party, the whole 5-6 of us were drunk and high as fuck, wandering around Seattle, but we didn't get arrested. We didn't get arrested because we weren't causing problems. We weren't disrupting the public peace.
Hey, David's in here. You better stop talking about him.
There's whatever.
And
He's
high
Canadian.
Ox. I am so shocked.
Both
I
at
am
the same time.
deeply
At the
offended.
same time, I might
on a
have
few
flown.
different things. Even
I'd like to apologize to my audience for my co-hosts
Shocking
shenanigans in public. No, I'm just kidding.
That's absolutely shocking.
You got no proof. I could be lying. I could be drunk right now. You don't
want
know.
to hear something? Here, I'll even one up Ox. I've been high every single day, more or less, for the last 13 years, pretty much 24/7.
Thanks to my doctor, please.
Oh, but I got a label on the bottle, so it makes it okay. And
I was like,
acceptable.
come on. Yeah, I got you one better. I was
Let's
smoking weed near every single day since I was probably about 16.
Are you a wake and baker?
Except
Except
for work.
that's nothing to brag about.
No, we have to call it tie.
Don't fuck around like that. Especially if you're not fully grown yet. It fucks with your brain. Don't do that.
My thing is just wait. You want to experiment, fine, but do it after
do it when your brain chemistry is right.
To be destroyed.
I cannot stress that enough.
But I used to drink.
Seriously,
I was drinking
hobbled
way
me.
too early. Yeah,
I
started drinking way too early, and it made it has an impact. For sure.
It's super. Look, I know my brain was already a little broken to begin with, but it seriously.
That's why we love.
Seriously held me back, and not just from like. I'm talking from like a pure, just like motivational standpoint and like determination and like drive sort of thing. I could be so much further along in every aspect of life if I had not done that. So like, I didn't put that out there to like joke or it was a joke, but not to like encourage that sort of act. Serious business. If you're under 20, please don't.
Well, it's also how you do it too. I always feel like it's like if it becomes a crutch, then it's a problem. I mean, and that's
something that's important to highlight. Looking back on it, it was because I was hiding from a lot of like emotional pain that I didn't realize because it was being blunted by my actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Serious business. Don't fuck around.
And it's insidious too. I find it's very easy to slip into that mode of like, well, I had it last night, but I'll do it again tonight.
Oh, totally. Totally.
It feels good.
I don't know. I have a highly addictive personality. Like, and I've known that since I was quite young. I caught it just after I'd started drinking heavily. So I was like, I figured like I'll leave it at the drinking. But of course, the reality is probably it would have been better if I was just smoking pot because the freaking damage that alcohol does is insane. And just the stupidity, the levels of stupidity you can get to when you're young and
it's always blown my mind that we live in a society where it's like the most normalized drug is also the most harmful.
Yeah.
So well, then it's like you can just go to the store, you can go to the grocery store and just buy a bottle of liquor, chug it, and go to the hospital and like have cirrhosis of the liver and die from poisoning. Yeah,
and they're all like, you have a good one, huh? Good night.
Yeah,
you know, like,
you go home. Give her. Yeah. You know, it's like I grew up with alcoholics.
Well, and I mean, the British culture as well is it's almost competitive in their drinking. I mean, it's like
I've seen that.
You know, and I one of the things I've said to Baz is like, look, I mean, we drink. I mean, I drink a lot less than I used to, and I do it almost like I try to do it as a treat now as opposed to as water. But I just said to myself, look, you don't have to it's not about like you don't have to get wasted when you drink. You can have a couple of drinks. I mean, and leave it at that. And finding that switch is very difficult for some people. I never found it. I was looking for that. When do I stop? Well,
I had my I have a weird life because my parents were both really abusive alcoholics growing up. And so I hated alcohol. I demonized. I didn't have my first beer. Like I'm talking a beer. I didn't even have a beer till I was 28 years old. And the whole time that I was drinking, I was just thinking, my God, I'm going to turn into my dad and like the Incredible Hulk and start running around punching people. And I didn't. I was fine. I had my beer. I got a little buzz from it because it's the only beer I ever had in my entire life. And then, I started getting more comfortable around friends, started socially drinking and stuff like that. But I got to the point where it's like I was still afraid to ever go anywhere if I drank. Even if I drank one beer, I wouldn't drive for like 8 hours. Like I was really, really, really serious about that. But I'd go to my friend's house and it got to the point where, when you're socially drinking, it's easy to lose track how much you're drinking. The way that you metabolize it is like you've had too much when you just start feeling
before you even notice.
Yeah. You don't even notice.
It's like edibles.
And people
it's like edibles now, right?
Exactly. Just like edibles. Just like edibles.
So God, it's the next 4 hours.
Yeah, it's like I never went with the intention of getting blackout drunk. Like nobody wants to just pass out of the party on the couch and miss all the fun, right? And forget about it the next day. It's like, no, you just end up drinking too much. You're like, man, I feel really good right now. And then like it hits you half an hour later and you're like, and then you're out on the couch. And I
did it to get over shyness. Shyness was my thing. I was always like, I wanted to be like that crazy actor, the fabulous disaster. And so I thought by drinking copious amounts, that was going to do it. And,
the social lubricant aspect.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because
I see that.
I mean, I just the thought of going to parties terrifies me. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I'm much better at it now because you don't have to have the alcohol to put on the persona, if that makes sense. It's an accepted that you can. There's an outside face and there's an inside face, and that's Jesus, what is like
Moonshot Crypto actually made a point. He said, I think painkillers are 1,000x worse than anything. Sure. It's destroying our youth and adults are getting ravaged by it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. And I'm somebody that actually requires painkillers to have any life. So,
it's
and I agree with you.
Very difficult to gauge. It's really hard to gauge. And as we know, it was a conspiracy of pharmaceutical companies to get people on this stuff and woohoo.
You know what's crazy though? More people still die from alcoholism than they do from opioid abuse. Opioid abuse is like 5 down. I forget what the other top 3 or 4.
I'd love to see the stats on that, or like drinking and driving, or any kind of like maritable, relationship, like whatever it's called.
Domestic violence.
That's the term. Thank you. Domestic violence. All that stuff. A couple of drinks turned people into freaking losers. The thing I've discovered is that I don't need help being stupider or slower. And I'm not in control anyway, so I'm not sure what I'm trying to lose control of. So I've just found that it's just more fun to be present in most of the cases. I don't want to miss stuff now.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out to Ultimate Pro, just because he's spreading a little bit of misinformation in chat, and trust me, I'm an authority on this. Like I said, I've been on it for 13 years.
The heroin.
Yeah,
comment?
It's like no, oxycodone, Vicodin, fentanyl, OxyContin, Dilaudid. I know them all. I've taken them all. Well, except for fentanyl. Oh no, I've taken fentanyl in the hospital, but I've never taken fentanyl outside of a hospital. I can tell you everything about each one of those drugs. I can even tell you the molecular science of each one of those drugs. The most common one that's associated with heroin is oxycodone, and oxycodone is still like 3 or 4 molecules off from heroin. But the thing is those 3 or 4 molecules also adjust how much dopamine is created per gram of the drug that goes into your system. Heroin, completely, I don't care if you're the best scientific cook on the planet, you're freaking Walter White, you are never going to get the dosage consistent.
Yeah.
You need a pharmaceutical environment to be able to create a consistent dosage, and it's on the real low side. So,
well, it's the problem with Vicodin too, right? The big issue with Vicodin is that people are using it. They're doping other things with it because it can act as, let's throw it in a couple of fake whatever pills.
Yeah, because you can potentiate it. That's the thing is anything that is a dopamine booster. Like, well, here I can tell you right now. Like, do you know how SSRIs work? Like the selective, it's in the name, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. They basically just clog up the things that absorb the serotonin in your brain. So all the serotonin that's building in your body just cumulatively builds. Like there's a dam there. It doesn't stay. So if you have a high, and you can actually get something called serotonin syndrome, which I've had 3 times in my life, and you basically feel like you're going to die. Like you start shaking, your face turns completely white. You look like you got bit by a rattlesnake. Like you're shaking.
Because you're not getting the drug? Or
No, because you get too much serotonin. When your brain gets too much serotonin, it starts affecting how your organs work. Like the transmission of the signals to your organs get disrupted. So
what does serotonin do in the body? What is the specifics?
Serotonin gives you a sense of warmth and well-being.
Yeah, it's part of the happy.
Yeah, it's the other half.
The happy
of dopamine,
chemical.
basically.
There's like the three happy chemicals. You got your endorphins.
Yep.
You got your serotonin and your dopamine. Dopamine's like that's the one that you get anticipating a reward.
Yeah,
that's an interesting distinction. A lot of people, game theory applies a lot to dopamine because you think it's like, oh, when I open that loot box and all the ching 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 and the sparkles and
you
stuff,
can feel it in the back of your neck.
That feeling,
like,
that's a dopamine
the thing is,
release.
You get the squirt of dopamine before anticipating all of the bells and whistles and the sparkles and stuff. The dopamine comes from pulling the arm, not hitting the jackpot.
Does it work with nerves as well? Is dopamine kicking in when you're like, oh my God, I'm about to jump out of a plane for the first time or something? Is that the same kind of thing?
More endorphin.
Okay, so that's endorphins.
Like, endorphins help with like you hurt yourself, and then like if you bite, and then that soothing feeling after pain
Right.
That's your endorphins.
Dopamine
Or you
Body's
run
kicking in.
the runner's high. That's endorphins.
Yeah,
Which I used to love.
Dopamine is actually the most common use for dopamine, like that we see naturally in our bodies, is a fight to pain. So that's why it's pain. Painkillers specifically target dopamine, and in some cases they have additives in them that'll also target serotonin. And the reason that they do that is because dopamine has this interesting quality to make you relax and calm down, even in danger. So dopamine has a really soothing effect, right? It's like, right when you get there with, on anniversary night with the old lady and you're like, it's like you got the O face going on. That's a dopamine blast into your brain. And that's literally the same sensation you'd get from heroin. It's just heroin lasts longer.
There's a whole mix of them though. Like the whole sex, the chemical rush, because Tibby Dudes mentioned that it's a whole mix of stuff. You got endorphins, you got the dopamine, you got oxytocin, you got all that good stuff happening.
Like, have you ever wondered why there's people that like to experience pain during any kind of sexual activity? That's to force the release of dopamine ahead of time so that you have dopamine shock at the moment.
And then the endorphins afterwards.
Exactly. Yep. That's you're literally just tricking your brain into thinking you're in danger. Yeah, and
this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. And then, that sucks.
Yeah.
This is an area of stuff that I've never looked into. Really, it's always
so that's all an opiate does. An opiate doesn't create anything that isn't naturally created in your body. All it does is overstimulate it.
And dopamine is ridiculously addictive. Like they've done tests.
By design.
Like in cocaine. So like it was mentioned, cocaine squeezes the gland in your brain to just not overproduce, but it's like a sponge, right? You squeeze a sponge and all the liquid comes out. It's dopamine. That's why I feel good. You can't help it. It's awesome.
Well, imagine this. How would humans still be alive today if it wasn't for dopamine? If you didn't get a huge reward for literally going out of your way and putting your life in danger from like day one, trying to find a mate and trying to create kids, or to game the system. We figured out how to game the system now.
Yeah,
with certain online websites and a bottle of Kleenex or a Kleenex and a bottle of lotion.
So good.
Yeah, that's why you keep going back.
In experiments with rats and stuff, you can push this button and get a squirt of dopamine, or you can push this button and get a pellet of food. They will overwhelmingly pound the shit out of the dopamine button
and starve themselves in the process
with no regard to any other survival. Nothing. They will just sit there and pound on it. And then
Adderall. Okay, so somebody mentioned Adderall. Ultimate Pro. Adderall is completely different. Like opiates and Adderall aren't even. They have no overlap. Yeah. So Adderall is a stimulant. It's purely a stimulant. It's what it does is it raises your static blood pressure, raises your heart rate, raises your metabolism, and in turn also raises your basically overclocks your brain. Yeah. Your brain. It's the same thing as like caffeine does. It basically just causes your brain to get hyperoxygenated and stimulates your brain into going faster. That's why people that generally have ADHD and stuff, they seem like they're really hyperactive and stuff, but it's really because their brain just isn't holding on to anything. They're just jumping threads like crazy.
I thought it was the weirdest thing in the world to be given basically, methamphetamines.
It is. That's literally
for people
who
are already bouncing off the wall.
Yeah, if you've ever wondered what Adderall is just purely an amphetamine. Methamphetamine is a dirty amphetamine, meaning that it has lots of byproducts in it that are really dangerous. Yeah. Adderall is literally a pure amphetamine salt. That's why if you get the generic for Adderall, it literally says on the bottle amphetamine salt.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing else in it. It's not like
and Ritalin. Then you are teeth grinding focused for the rest of the day. But
because Ritalin is methylphenidate, which is another stimulant, but it's been around for a lot longer. But Adderall is a more pure form.
Not as hyper focused as I would like to be.
Really?
Don't be fooled. Yeah. They give me the XRs for the morning, and then they're like, look, if you start feeling a little, fuzzy toward in the early afternoon, 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, here's a 5 milli that you can take, a little 5 milligram guy to kind of stay up at that plateau. And it definitely helps me to focus. But it's not like the blinders. Like I can tell now that I have the vocabulary around
I want the
ADHD. It is not the same as a hyper focus. Like when I'm genuinely interested in a thing and I'm like hyper focused, like that switch is flipped, regardless of whether I've taken the Adderall or not. It is a completely different mental state.
Yeah,
the Adderall will help me to choose. It will help me to choose to focus and stay on it. But it's totally different from when I'm in the hyper focus mode. I'm a beast in hyper focus mode. I'll scrub the grout with a toothbrush, kind of hyper focus. I'm like, I'm just spaced out.
That's why we hire someone to clean, because if I start, I mean, I can live in filth, but if I start cleaning, there goes my month.
I've just the master shower.
I painting the grout.
Yeah, I scrub the grout. I got a scrubby little toothbrush, like a soft metal scrubby.
I went upstairs to clean a bathroom, and
like 2 hours.
I left a couple of days later, and there was no bathroom left because I decided to renovate it. That's why I don't clean.
That is ADHD at work, my friends.
Yeah.
No, I can tell everybody in chat right now because I've taken Adderall for 15 years now. And right now I take 1 Adderall XR in the morning every day. I skip on the weekends usually just because if I'm not doing anything, I just take a break and I just want to relax. I just don't take it. Surprisingly, everybody says Adderall is like super hyper addictive, nowhere near as much as oxycodone. Like I can just stop taking Adderall altogether, take it or leave it, and I just feel a little tired for a few days.
I forget to take it.
Fuck, it sucks.
I forget to take my the Adderall equivalent, whatever it is up here. But,
Ritalin, Cymbalta.
I forget to take it all the time.
Methylphenidate.
That's how focused I am.
There's like a million of them. I know when you have ADHD so bad, you don't even remember taking your ADHD meds.
But I never took. This is recent for me, right? The idea of medicating for it is something I've never done that.
People think Adderall is something it isn't, though. Like I can tell you guys, you know what? You want to simulate the exact same brain chemistry as taking Adderall? It's easy. Go drink 200 milligrams of caffeine. Go get yourself a strong coffee, chug that sumbitch down as fast as you can, and then follow it up with 100 milligrams every hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah, which is basically what I was doing.
It'll be very
with coffee before that.
I would say, that's pretty accurate. Yeah,
that's how I self-medicated before they put me on Adderall, and I was like, oh, it's basically the same thing minus all the coffee.
I definitely have found, like I said before, like I'm better able to choose what I focus on, because caffeine, like coffee and stuff, never really. Like I'd be energized or whatever, like, but my thoughts were never as clear, as sharp.
How much coffee were you drinking though? Because you have to have that hard shock.
And that might be it. Like I never had like the heavy start.
Yeah, that's what Adderall does.
I'd kill a pot before work.
I know, but you need to literally chug the first cup, like,
and that's
literally mainline it.
Yeah, and then that main boost. Yeah. And so, but yeah, the Adderall for sure. Like I can,
you have to better lot, though.
I can better choose to focus, and I notice more. I've noticed better when I'm off task. Like, hey, I need to focus on this thing. But man, like I still got terrible memory. Like I thought it would help with the memory, like
my
remembering things
awful.
And whatnot. Like. And I feel like there's no hope for that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I think my lady
just write shit down. Just write shit down. That's what I do.
I think my lady thought it would help with the memory stuff better too. I did. I certainly did.
Adderall has a big side effect though, and it's one that I've had to deal with for a very long time. And that is, it does magnify anxiety. So
I can see that.
Adderall, if you
notice, like clench my teeth a lot.
Yeah, you'll grind your teeth a lot more.
Oh my God, restless legs at night. You're like. Legs
those
are
unfortunate side effects.
But yeah, anxiety for sure. Like not so much like the negative self-talk like I used to have, but which is still there, but
just that jittery feeling of like,
just can't shut off as easy. Yeah, I can see that.
But that's also why I drank, was you want to shut off, right?
It's funny. Everybody in chat's like, sugar's addicted, caffeine's addictive. Dude, everything that makes you feel good is addictive, because it's that feeling of making you feel good and you remembering it making you feel good that makes you think about it when you're feeling bad.
It's the dopamine. And look, to be fair, everybody has their thing. Right, everybody's addicted to something.
Some of us have a few.
Because like, and people say, "Oh, well, no, I'm not. No, I'm not." I guarantee. Look through your life and look at the things that you do, like almost mindlessly, habitually, and it could be anything. It could be TV. It could be candy. It could be
running. It could
beer,
be running.
It could be running. Yeah, anything that you are like unconsciously doing habitually. Like it could, like I said, it could be just I watch my Real Housewives or something to like soothe myself down into sleep or whatever. How good would you sleep without it? How would your day be if you didn't do that thing? That's an addiction.
I wish,
and it doesn't have to be a negative word. Like addiction has all this negative connotation, just like the word consequences always has this negative connotation to it because like we've always been punished for consequences.
Yeah.
There are positive consequences too. Consequences are just results of actions, right? This cause and effect. Effect is the consequence. People tie these negative emotions to these words. Addiction is not necessarily a bad thing, but a lot of times
it's a necessary thing.
Well, a lot of times it's used when an addiction gets to such a point that it is detrimental to your life. I'm so addicted to a video game or whatever that like it
Could
starts
having a kid be detrimental to your life if you don't have the right situation? You still feel drawn to do it. I'm saying that's why addiction can be helpful even when it's technically not helpful to you.
Like that kind of stuff. It is. These things are. I don't know where I was going with that, but the word itself is not negative on its own. It is. It's when it gets taken to an extreme. That's then
it's like a sugar addiction. If you burn 10,000 calories a day and you were like Michael Phelps, a sugar addiction is a great thing to have. Because like just being able to put away much higher caloric food and larger quantity, more calorically dense food.
Of course, I want to qualify all of what I just said as my opinion.
My opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know more about this stuff because I don't like. I've never, strangely, for someone who I mean, mental health for us growing up was my dad just didn't believe in psychiatry and mental health. It wasn't talked about, and as a result, it didn't run in the family. What does it say? It positively galloped. Mental health was a huge thing in our family. It still is. But for some reason, I never studied the science behind the brain until very recently. I started looking into it, and and I found that fascinating because there is so much of this stuff we don't understand. I still think we're throwing things at our bodies and brains and trying to figure out whether it's the right thing. Yeah. We've got like a limited understanding, and then we throw things at it. I'm sure we'll find better ways of pinpointing the exact issues and nailing them with the right medications. But right now, I still
more every day, right?
Yeah. God, yeah.
It's a constant game. Like I think I can't remember who I'm quoting here, but somebody said that we know more about we know less about the human brain than we do about our own planet.
Sure.
So because the human brain, it's like we are constantly learning new things about it. It is the most complicated thing and it makes sense because the thing that makes us capable of thinking, it would stand to reason that would be the most complicated thing to fully self-analyze because that's the limit of your ability, right? Our brain is literally our limiting factor, how we can see, how we can hear, how we can smell, how we experience time. All of those things it's this organ that makes that possible and makes that happen. It's like, so you can only perceive it within that frame of reference unless you start creating other machines and stuff like that can think outside that isn't confined to those boundaries, like quantum computers and stuff like that. So
I think we don't want to know though too. I think there's a societal level that doesn't want to like if we find out that we are purely just creatures of habit and creatures of depending on what you put into the system. Yeah. I mean, I think people don't, there's certain things that I just don't think we want to, I think we still cling to this idea of a soul. And I think that's had a big impact on why people don't want to look at the brains. There's that great TEDx talk about the guy who scanned the brains of criminals and I thought that was fascinating where he could go like, oh, there you go. The reason why that guy's in, maybe not the reason, but he's in jail because he's on crack. He's got the crack brain. Oh, there's the heroin brain. And then there's the tumors. There is all these different things that have affected the people.
Or the psychopathic guys, the guys that literally just kill indiscriminately, that don't feel like they feel one way or another indifferent to life. They find out. So
what do you do when you scan a brain of a kid and you find that brain?
Well, then you give them some medication to boost that neurotransmitter that's causing
That's the hope.
Yeah.
And that's the hope, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of the population that gets very nervous when you start going like, wait a second, you scan my brain and then you decide what's right or wrong for me.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're a psychopath and you're killing somebody and you don't put value in their life, like you don't, there's a lot of serial killers that have said that when they kill somebody, it's purely a pleasurable experience and they don't think like you took a life. They don't think that way. They're just like, that thing is prey. Like that thing is just something for me to play with. Like you guys, like they have no empathy for it. And the thing is like when you test them, you'll realize that if they had the hormones and the neurotransmitters to experience that guilt and that fear and that anxiety from doing something like that, it would deter them. But they don't have that. It's literally, and the thing is that biology isn't just based on their genetics. That biology can also largely be based on their environment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and let's face it,
That's
a
a big
psychopath is going to
argument,
do
too.
very well in a post-apocalyptic society where it's every man for himself. I mean, like, this is the weird thing is, like, in order to figure out how to fix people, you have to know what's wrong with them. In order to know what's wrong with them, you have to decide what the quote unquote norm is. And I think that that terrifies me, as well as I'm sure many other people as well, is like, how do you say what is normal happy? Like, what is depression that lingers after a death? You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be depressed when people die.
Well, that's also chronic depression and normal depression. Because depression is normal. You're supposed to be depressed when you're grieving. It's literally a mechanism to cause you to slow down and self-reflect. It's literally like it's to protect you and to protect others. Like, if one of yours falls, it's like fall back and regroup. It's like you're supposed to slow down. You're not supposed to just continue on like nothing happened. You're supposed to have remorse and grief, and then eventually you're supposed to have anxiety and frustration with it to drive you back into life. Yeah, like that's the normal way it goes. Because if nobody cared, if somebody just died and nobody cared, your population would just shrink.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, but now it's different than that, because it's like if somebody dies, then it makes you think about the futility of life. Then you might end up going and having a kid if you decided not to have a kid, or maybe if you don't have a kid, you might want to like go try to help a kid, or you might want to try to help an organization that helps a kid or something. You're going to feel some need once you see how fragile life is and how it affects you when a life is lost. You start self-reflecting, and that could actually help you be a better person for the community. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the community, right? As individual beings, we're not effective. It's like we have to operate in groups. And so those neurotransmitters basically are just keeping us functioning in groups. It's why one person will be able to give up on something that they hold really close to their heart if they think it's for the greater good, and another person can do the same. It's like compromise. Like, compromise wouldn't be possible if everybody always felt super high on what they believed and there was no reason to change. And that reason to change is literally guilt and shame and the feeling of being depressed and the feeling of feeling ostracized. All those feelings that you have, if you didn't have those feelings, you wouldn't function in a group, because you would have no reason to conform to the group.
But are there like depressed giraffes or psychotic giraffes or something? I mean, like, is that?
Yeah. No, they've well, at least in rats and stuff, especially when they start getting into like overpopulation. A lot of those more, I guess, like divergent brains start coming up.
Yeah, like I saw a really scary study.
But is that maybe that's our problem?
That kind of thing.
Could that be our problem?
Yeah,
like,
did you see the study where the
it's
rats
an
killed each
interesting
other?
thought. It's an interesting thought, because they started showing just antisocial behavior and psychopathy and things like that in rats, that in highly overpopulated or resource low sort of environments. Yeah,
they turn on each other faster.
It's weird. They do the same thing as us, just super hyper accelerated.
Because they're smaller and their populations can grow
and smaller
faster
lifespan too, right? Like, they only live like 2.5 years. But if you take a bunch of rats and you put them in an aquarium and you feed them well and you give them a wheel to run on, and they all have something to enrich their lives, they will tend to play. They will tend to huddle up and sleep together. They will eat together. They're highly social. Rats are incredibly social animals. The second you stop feeding them and there's no longer a food source, they'll start breaking down their environment. They'll start moving away from each other and sleeping they're alone and intentionally hiding themselves. And then in the end, they'll attack each other and try to gang up and kill other ones for a food source.
There's micro experiments with human beings too. Look at the studies that do 4-day work weeks. Look at the studies that do universal basic income. You give everybody $2,000 a month, everybody's life is a heck of a lot better. We talked about this, I think, just before you showed up, David. We're like, why did all these riots and stuff happen early on in the pandemic? And it wasn't just in the United States; it was worldwide. Everywhere, people were in the streets, torches and pitchforks. Why? Because we didn't have to struggle every single day just to survive.
Yeah, we could focus on something else.
We had a lot of extra free time, and it got either you were getting government assistance and you didn't have to like struggle, right, for a little while, or you were in such a position that it didn't fucking matter anymore. Like, I got nothing to lose. Because I can't go to work, I can't go to entertain myself, I can't do nothing, I don't got money to drugs or whatever my vice may have been to distract myself from the struggles of life. So what else am I going to do? Fight back to change things, to make things better. Yeah, it was a perfect storm, and like
everything that humans do is a selfish action. I thought that this was pretty interesting. Like, even the most philanthropic, nicest person in the world that gives the shirt off their back to somebody else is still doing it for selfish reasons. They might not think of it consciously.
Genuine, true altruism.
Yeah,
but I've always said that. Like, people go, like, if I help someone and someone says thank you, I'm like, I did it because I wanted to do it. I feel good. I feel better about myself helping you or whatever. So is that not an entirely selfish act then?
No, that's the thing is, it's true. But that's what drives you to do it.
Altruism is almost non-existent.
But how would society function without it? Like, imagine if you had a group and half your group couldn't eat. Would it be more beneficial for the group for some of you to eat half as much and give that food to the other people to keep a larger group alive? Or would it make sense just to turn your back on them and let them die off? Then your numbers dwindle and you're fucked.
Yeah.
Did you watch a film called The Platform?
No, I've heard it.
I watched that. That's
good.
Oh,
Barnacules, you'd like it.
I think you'd like it.
It's a fun one. It's the basic concept is you start with a massive dinner on a slab.
Platform.
Platform, good term. That slowly lowers down through this building. You have no idea how far down it goes. And of course, you can take what you want as you go. And if everyone just took what they needed, there'd be plenty of food. But the top floors don't do that, right? So
that's
It's
hilarious. I've never heard of okay.
It reminds me of Cube. It has a Cube-like quality to it. It's kind of a fun, not too big budget, but like some great odd performances.
A good commentary sort of movie.
Is it on Netflix?
Like societal.
I think it's Netflix.
It's either Netflix or Hulu.
The platform.
It's really good.
It's subtitles.
Oh, why?
Why? Because
it's Spanish.
It's a Spanish movie.
Because it's a Spanish movie.
Barnacules, come on.
It was hard for me to get through Squid Game, and I love Squid Game.
Worth faster. It's worth it. Or don't they have bad dubbing on it as well? I mean,
they do.
I
watched the bad dubbing
I think you should do that. Well, I don't think you should do that. Oh my god, I hate the dub.
Hello, how are you?
It's dub versus sub. I have to subtitle. I have to subtitle.
I prefer subs.
Also, it's the only way I can get my kid to read.
The thing is, though, is like
read faster. Come on.
So, David, earlier you were talking about like people don't want to understand the human brain. Some people don't want to understand the human brain because then it contradicts everything that they believe, right? It contradicts the unknown. It ruins the magic trick,
potentially,
if you will. It does potentially, and I mean, actually, it does. It really does if you think about it. Because if you watch somebody do a magic trick and you don't understand how it's done, even though you know in your head, like even as a scientist, you're like, I know that this is an illusion. But you don't know how it's done, and that makes it interesting to you. Like you want to figure it out. Or if you're a person that's more spiritual and do believe in magic and stuff like that, you're like, wow, that person's a wizard, and you think that's really cool.
It's a ghost.
As soon as you understand how the trick is done and you've seen it done, and now every time you watch that trick after that, it is not that interesting anymore. Even the simplest, like once you figure out, it's like, oh, it was really simple the whole time. But it was an illusion. It was designed to mislead your brain. Most tricks are that way. And so once you learn that, it's like it's no longer that interesting and it takes some of the magic away. And I feel like people would feel the same if we could figure out human life to the level where it's like not only could we clone a person, which we're more than capable of doing now, and we have been for like 20 years. If not only
I'm sure they're out there.
They probably are. So and there already are designer children. There's that guy getting sued in China right now or whatever, that genetically engineered 2 babies that had like a natural resistance to HIV or something like that.
Oh yeah. Didn't he disappear?
I don't know where he is.
People who get famous in China seem to. I hope I don't get big in China.
Yeah, right.
Because they just say, what about that skater? What happened to that skater?
Yeah. But here's the problem. If you understand.
Was it tennis? Oh, it was tennis player. That's right. Yeah.
If you understand the magic trick of how the human brain works, and by literally knowing how it works, that means that you can predict what's going to happen because you understand how it works. If you understand how a system works, you can predict it. That's just how I mean. That's literally like if you understand how, or you truly understand how it works, you can predict it with 100% accuracy. So so the closer you get to understanding the mechanism, the better you get at predicting it. And I feel
that's people's fear with AI. That's everyone's fear with AI.
But we have that own fear with ourselves. If we ever achieve, if we ever get to the point where we understand our brain exactly, like we understand every neuron, we can look at every molecule moving around, we know what's going on. We have a computer sufficiently fast enough to aid us in the ability to do that. You would be able to put a person in a situation, look at all their past memories, everything leading up to that point, and draw a predictive model of what they're going to do. Like, and then once
even
you do
just
that,
chemical
you're a robot,
responses.
you're an automaton.
Even just chemical responses. But I think that's what terrifies people is that we are at the end of the day. You get a big enough computer with a large enough data set, you can predict anything.
Yeah. Well, and that's the concept behind Foundation, right?
Which I haven't seen yet.
Well, the books. Just read the
right.
first 3. I think the 3 books.
I read the first one, but a long time ago, and even then it was a used book, so it's got to be quite old.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's Asimov, I think. Yeah. So 50s, something.
60s, yeah.
But the concept is individuals are impossible to predict. Like you can you can guess and have like probabilities and stuff, but it's very fuzzy, and still an individual can be very random, right? But in groups, they're very predictable. And this is a fact. Like mob mentalities are very easy to predict. Because you genuinely lose your sense of identity, your individual self, like identity, when you are caught up in a mob like that. This is a brain thing. Like you no longer even see yourself as an individual. You are a part of the group now.
Yeah.
And so they're easier to predict. And that's the whole concept of the Foundations series, is that this guy came up with this monstrous algorithm that could predict, and we're talking planetary massive scales of humans. But the idea does apply on a smaller scale too. Like you start looking at politics and things and groups of humans and socioeconomics flows and stuff. Like you get enough data, and you can predict pretty well how masses of people will react to hell, it's marketing.
Yeah.
It's marketing.
I mean, I think we've almost moved beyond marketing now, where we're just telling people what we want them to buy. I mean, I think that's, there was this great, I think I've mentioned this book before, the Surveillance Capitalism, which was just fascinating, how she's basically saying the fear is not that they're going to be able to market more effectively. The fear is that they are going to tell us what to buy, and we will buy it.
They already are.
And
which is that's what we're saying. Yeah.
That was something I think Steve Jobs said, is like, we're not in the business of giving customers what they want. We're in the business of selling them what they didn't even know they need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a fascinating thing, because I feel like it's both terrifying and at the same time something that I'm absolutely intrigued by, is the idea that we are just bags of chemicals, and eventually we come up with models that will be able to say, oh, what have you eaten? How much food have you eaten? We can see. I mean, all these wearable blood glucose, all this kind of stuff. Eventually, the amount of data these companies are going to have will be, I mean, they'll literally go, oh, they just ate a chocolate bar, quick, hit them with an ad for this, or oh, they just did that, they haven't eaten for a while, this is the best, whatever. I mean, there's so many things where we just become tools to the
and it's all still, like I said, like on an individual scale, it's still probability. It's still, if we feed them this ad after they've eaten a chocolate bar, there's an 80% chance that they'll purchase it.
Yeah.
And most people are going to just mindlessly fall into that probability, but like there's still,
when it comes to chocolate bars, sign me up.
But it's interesting stuff. It's crazy.
I'm having an interesting conversation over in chat with Adalbert Kelly. He said that even if we could predict the brain 100%, it evolves so quickly we'd never be able to like basically keep up with it in real time. But I told him, I said, if we can predict the brain and we understand how it works, we can actually have that predictive model predict how that brain's going to change in real time and react to it. So again, I understand the whole idea of, if you can map something in real time, that map is now ancient seconds later. I get that. But if you understand how the mechanism works at 100% at any one stage, you should be able to predict its diversion. And if you can't, like if there's things in there that are, because again, there's no such thing as a random number. There really isn't. I stand by that. There's no such thing as a random number. If you understand the seed that is being used for that random number, you can predict anything. You can predict anything. So even if it's something that's like a quantum state that appears to be completely random, if you understood quantum physics and the level underneath it, or whatever level supports how it makes its decision, you're going to figure it out. Just like rolling dice on a table isn't random. You're just not smart enough to compute the velocities and gravity and windage and everything. But if you could, every roll would be exactly what you wanted it to be.
But I would say we're getting to a point now where there is so much data that it's too overwhelming for us to understand anyways. We need the systems. We need these computers, even just to understand the limited amount of data we're getting now. Like I had this like weird little epiphany the other day where I was like, we're not meant to move over our running speeds. We were not designed for that. And yet we drive around this planet on and in things that are moving at way greater speeds than we can process properly.
Yeah, we're already kind of androids, right? I mean, or not androids, cyborgs. Because we're already incorporating technology into our life. Like, we were never meant to fly like birds or drive in cars at 300 miles an hour.
But I would say that's what defines us is
Yeah.
technology, is our use of technology. I mean, like I guess there's some primates that use it. There are other, I mean, octopus and stuff I mean, there's definitely use of tools, but I think the fact that it's one of the, maybe that's one of the things where you go like, oh, maybe we're not the smartest things on the planet anymore. Like you start going like, wait a second, there's other animals using tools as well. So,
I actually love Alpha Phoenix Ultimate Pro. I'm a sub.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Oh, he's just talking about. He's a guy that does a lot of stuff with quantum physics.
Oh yeah,
and quantum states. He runs a lot of these like vacuum chambers and stuff like this, and runs like really clever experiments to figure out like the subatomic. And so I don't think I've watched that video though. He said he made a video on a random number quantum system, because again, that's why encryption would be so strong. So because quantum computing, you can basically generate as many numbers as you want simultaneously. That's what makes quantum computers really cool, is you no longer just have a bit that's 1 and 0. You have a qubit that can be between 1 and 500,000 other ones, or 1 million other ones, or 10 million other ones. So you can basically do a whole bunch of work simultaneously. So where a regular computer's serial, where you have to go, one operation, with a quantum computer, with each qubit multiplying how many operations it can do simultaneously. So 1 qubit can do so many, 2 qubits can do an exponential growth of that, 4 qubits or 3 qubits, an exponential growth of that, and you eventually get to the point where it's like you only need like 1 computer cycle to process trillions of equations. And because
which
of that,
is why they're worried about
fast.
Encryption. They're worried about like modern encryption because of that.
Right now, the quantum computer, like in theory, based on the quantum computer they built now, they said that they could break the strongest encryption on Earth that is not based. They've already created new encryptions now that are built to confuse quantum computing. But the old algorithms, I think it's SHA-256 or something like that. It was either SHA-128 or 256. They said they could crack with a quantum computer in 11 minutes through brute force. Meaning trying every combination, which a normal computer could literally process every single permutation of a number until the sun exploded and engulfed our planet, and their odds of getting it are less than 1% for just cracking one password. The quantum computer can do it in 11 minutes. So you can see how that could be a real threat, right? So, but the cool thing is quantum computers are not good at conventional binary equations. Like you have to have an equation that's good for a quantum computer, which breaking a random seed is something that quantum computers are good at. So if you just fortify your encryption and make your encryption rely on things that are something that a quantum computer is good at, but also a binary computer is good at, and combine the two technologies, you end up with something that's now secure against a quantum computer. So
where are they at? How many qubits have they got the computers up to now?
I thought they got like a 16. I thought they had a 16 qubit. I
and also,
16,
do you have a link? 8. Do you have a link for Ultimate Pro? Because I'd love to check that out.
Yeah, it's a really cool channel.
Yeah,
and it's neat because they get down to like absolute vacuum, like where it's like literally like to the 60th decimal point of vacuum. In this chamber, and it's such a high vacuum that like it has to all be metal surfaces that are flawlessly machined and like ringed together. Like there's no like putting a O-ring in these things. It's pretty wild. He said, have you seen the new IBM research video with their new runtime app? I haven't. I haven't looked at quantum computer videos in some time. This will prompt me.
I know that IBM had you could log into their system and try programming their quantum systems, which I thought was kind of cool.
Really? They had people actually logging in and writing code for it? Yeah,
you had access to their API or something, and you could run online in the browser. I was trying to convince the kids to do it. But because it's just an API like anything else, except that you're using quantum, like some kind of quantum procedures. I struggle with this stuff at the best of times, let alone Saturday morning after 1 cup of coffee. So
well, Pista said, what about optical computers? I know very little about optical computers. I've watched like 1 or 2 videos on them. It's basically using like banks of prisms instead of not transformers. What am I thinking? Transistors. But the problem with light actually is pretty damn slow. Like it might be the limit of how fast we can move in this universe, but there's a lot of cheats that we already have and have had, for the last 200 years that are faster than light.
Well, that's the quantum stuff, right?
Yeah. No, the transmission of electrons. Because in a wire, if you move electrons, you're not actually pumping the electrons like in this direction with the delay. What you're actually doing is moving the electrons like this much, and then the electrons on the other side at the
pop
same
out
time
are like knocking them out. Yeah.
So where light has to travel like this, the electrons are like this. So you get a much faster transmission through copper than you do even through light in a vacuum. So I mean, they're both really, really fast. But the thing is with light, you can cut it off and start it a hell of a lot faster too, without the electrical noise. So that's why fiber optics are like so good for huge amounts of data transmission, but they're not the fastest. Like if you took and ran fiber optic from like here around the planet, not only would you need 1 million repeaters, which would also, you know, slow it down because it has to receive and boost the light signal. It would be way slower than just running a copper wire.
Really?
So yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just watched a whole freaking YouTube video on this where they were talking about how electrons move through a magnetic field in a wire.
Oh, is that one that is that the one electricity doesn't move the way we think it does?
Yeah.
It doesn't flow the way. I didn't.
Yeah.
I saw it pop up, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I thought he was full of shit when I first watched that video, but then I went back and watched a video from a physics professor 2 years prior that I'm guessing he based his video off of, because they both talk about the exact same thing in the exact same order. But yeah, basically the idea is an alternating current in your house. Your electrons aren't being sent to you from the power plant. Not a single electron from that power plant ever makes it to your house. All it's doing is just wiggling the electrons back and forth through a wire. That's all it's doing. That's alternating current. Go this way, then go this way, go this way. And that's why you can run such great distances, because you're not, with DC, you're having to send the electrons down the line. And that's creating resistance. The more that you're pushing, just try to push more water through a hose. But what if you take a hose full of water and you just suck it a little on one end and then blow, and then suck and blow, or suck on both ends? In time, you're just moving the water column like this, and then you're using the friction, basically, of the water moving to generate the electricity, the friction in that magnetic field. It's not really friction, but you view it that way, right? And so because of that, you can transmit huge amounts of data very, very quickly, because you don't have to wait for the electrons that are indicative of the data to travel through the line. You just have to wiggle it at a different frequency. And on the other end, it's going to mirror that. So
that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. That's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, so if we could physically run a wire from here, I mean, it'd have to be one hell of a wire to be able to transmit, because it would have to be able to handle a hell of a lot of current. But if you could run a wire from here to like Mars, the communication delay would be way, way less than light transmission, like by a huge factor. There still would be some delay, but it wouldn't be significant.
Oh, well,
which
I guess Elon's running copper to Mars.
We're just gonna,
right.
Lasers. He'll hang it from a pole on the top of the planet because it has to rotate 360 degrees.
Right.
That would actually be kind of funny.
We got a tangle.
Oh shit, it's wrapped around the moon. Quick, launch a mission.
Because you know what those phone cables are like. They're always getting caught around things. Yeah,
it's like, remember the first transmission lines for telegraph? Yeah. That happened in the early 20th century, right? They're running these freaking wires across the entire Atlantic and Pacific. And there's not a lot of lag between them.
Malventano, who's I think he's been on here before, but he's like basically SD storage pro guy at Intel, but very smart guys, worked on nuclear submarines, all sorts of stuff. Anyways, he bought a slice of the transatlantic of one of the early transatlantic cables, or one of the cables that they ran under the sea. I guess someone's pulled it up and sliced it up into little sections, and it's like this beautiful, like it looks like a work of art, because it's just all these cables surrounding another big core, and really cool.
Yeah, it's like 3 strands of copper and then just shitloads of other metals wrapped.
Yeah, just trying to stop it to stop some idiot from running over it or something.
Yeah, in the first cable, they found out that they were getting too much noise to transmit a signal. Like to filter out the noise, they'd have to make the machine more and more sensitive. And they got to the point where they could only transmit, I think it was like 7 words a minute or something over this thing, which was way less than what they were expecting. And so they had to go through and they figured out that it was the shielding that they wrapped around the cable was interacting with the salt water and the currents, and was creating a magnetic field that was like fucking with the signal.
Oh, wow.
And that's why wires have to be heavily shielded today, because it's like when you have electrons wiggling back and forth, any magnetic field that's within the space of that wire that you can't dissipate with a Faraday cage, which most wires wrap the inner core wires with another metal substrate like aluminum foil or something like that, you're going to get crosstalk. You're going to get, now if you're using a lot of voltage, it's not going to matter much. But if it's a low voltage communication, then little magnetic fields in the room, like turning on a light, could fuck with your transmission of your signal. It's really weird. Really weird, because
light is easily affected, isn't it? Of course. That does make sense.
Yeah, and everything is what was the other thing they were saying? Like everything is a wave, right? That's the other theory, right? Is that everything is a wave. Light is a wave. Sound is a wave. You know, it just depends on how tall those waves are and how intense they
different.
are. Yeah, they're just longer and they move faster or slower, right? Everything is
That's
just
it.
pressure.
Tech talk, wiggle different. That's a cool shirt. That'd be a good T-shirt. I'd wear that shirt. Tech talk, wiggle different. I love it.
So it's like,
or we wiggle different.
Yeah, because I was watching something about ionizing radiation versus
that's a
non-ionizing
big
radiation.
One.
It's like because that spectrum is actually stripping stripping protons or something.
Yeah, like it crashes into the nucleus of shit. It's a tighter wiggle so it can smash through things.
And there's a giant, coronal eruption heading our way or something, isn't it? Too? There's like some massive.
But
this is like apparently a record.
So.
This is like some crazy huge one that everyone's like a little bit like, hope it works out.
Yeah, every day Thanos is snapping his fingers.
You'll have a couple minutes of weird GPS stuff, and then you'll be fine. You might not be able to make
goddamn tell us. Yeah, that's it. You get angry at your phone, and then it's like
it's weird to think how easily we could just be ended, though. It's like if you think about it from just a mathematical standpoint, we're actually fairly safe any given day. But if you don't look at the mathematics and you just look at it just kind of pragmatically, you're like, listen, there are billions and billions and billions of things out in space just hurling at fucking hundreds of thousands of miles an hour, and we're just. Well, we're not stationary. We're moving too, but relative to them, they're either coming at us or away from us. It's like there's
at ridiculous speed.
There's just this giant shotgun out in space from about a mile away, just taking pot shots into the air like artillery at our planet, and it's just dumb luck that we don't get hit more than we do.
Well, even just our atmosphere, even the formation of our atmosphere, all of the things that just all the tiny little variations that would have meant no life. You know what I mean? I remember reading about the. What was that?
I said it's like game over. We only watch like 3% of the sky. Like with every single thing that we have, every technology, every telescope, every radio telescope, every piece of sky imaging thing we have in orbit or on Earth, all combined together at any one point can monitor about 3% of the sky within a distance where something could slip by and actually destroy us. So it's just dumb luck. Like we've identified a couple threats, right? Like that asteroid that we're trying to move right now that's going to come pretty close to us in like 200 years.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
But it's like how many of those are actually out there? Because it's dumb luck that we just happen to look at that direction.
Well, we just asked the Soviets are good at bashing things out of orbit, so maybe they could start
about that,
using some of their tech to just knock crap out.
Old Kessler syndrome, but it's almost like the Russians want Kessler syndrome. Maybe they don't want a space race anymore. Maybe Elon got so far ahead, they're just like, fuck it, let's just blow up let's just create a giant spaceship grinder in space so that the Americans can't put anything else up there.
I mean, the fear is that it's going to happen with or without them, right? I mean, it only takes one accident at the wrong altitude, and it's going to wipe out. It'll wipe out everything in that zone. I mean, like, what if Tesla fucks up on one of their satellites? You know,
well, luckily their satellites are.
What if the
space
station? What if something happens with the space station? That image. I loved learning about the space station because I always saw it as this beautiful floating slowly around our. It's like kicking ass going around
the Earth like every 90 minutes
so
or something.
Freaking fast. It's like
that's so cool.
But like
relative to the ground, it's 17,500 miles an hour is how fast it's moving relative to the ground.
Insane. And if something hits it and that thing disintegrates, I mean, think about the damage that could do. I mean,
yeah, the space station's a lot of material. If the space station actually got blown apart by something, like even if it was a meteorite that would just burn up in our atmosphere, it would be able to strike the ISS with enough force that it would just that thing would just vaporize into little pieces.
Well, and all of a sudden you got Chris Hadfield's guitar flying around, knocking out satellites and shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they already have to move. I didn't realize this, but they have to move satellites a lot. Like I was watching NASA TV. NASA is constantly issuing commands for these orbital like satellites and stuff to move a couple of miles here and a couple of miles there to get out of potential. Because they track thousands and thousands. I mean, it's tens of thousands.
Oh no, that map. Have you seen that freaking map?
It's insane, dude.
Insane.
It's insane. So anytime something looks like it's on a trajectory where it can get within, like, I think they said of 10 miles or something, because everything's moving so fast in space. 10 miles closes pretty quick at 17,500 miles an hour. And that's the space station. The stuff that's closer moves faster. Like all of Elon's satellite network is super low Earth orbit. It's about as low as you can get while maintaining an orbit. So his shit's moving at like 22,000 something miles an hour. So, because otherwise it would deorbit, right? The closer you are to Earth, the faster you have to be going to fall around the planet, basically. And so his stuff's moving a hell of a lot faster, and it's like a freight train, right? They're all in a line going like this.
Yeah.
Across the whole planet. So it's like every launch that everybody does, every nation, once he gets his entire network of 65,000 satellites or whatever up there, like every nation is literally going to have to plan their launch windows and their targets and how they get through that. I mean, it's going to be threading the needle.
Woz is starting a company that's going to do space garbage.
Cool.
It's
Apparently,
actually a smart thing to think about right now, honestly.
That's his thing. He wants to go up and figure out how to start cleaning up some of this crap. Because
drag it all into the sun.
Yeah.
Big nets.
Yeah, like, but how do you build a net strong enough to catch shit that's flying in both directions at that speed?
Yeah. I don't know. So some of it's got to be magnetic, right? Maybe just put a big electromagnet up there and just like zhunk.
But here's another question: how many spacecraft use ferrous metals for everything? Because they all have sensitive sensors and equipment on them.
It's probably not a lot. It's a lot of aluminum and titanium and plastic and stuff. It's probably not a lot of magnetic-y stuff. I mean, I imagine that would be, like you said, yeah,
that would actually be funny. Actually, that would be a great experiment for the ISS. Just hang a really powerful rare earth magnet off a cable that's just trailing behind it a couple thousand yards, and just leave it out there for a year and pull it in and see how many little specks of magnetic meteorite dust and shit and everything collects on it.
Yeah.
Then it hits
lasers.
That's what took down the space station. The magnet. You know.
Oh yeah, that would be funny, right? Something hits the magnet and yanks on the cable, and it's just whipping around like a freaking mace. Oh god, the Russians are doing it again.
We got something. Oh shit,
lasers.
I just think cleaning up, like if Kessler syndrome actually
they do use
happens,
lasers. There you go.
Like I don't know what that looks like to clean up, because you've got all this shit moving at different speeds. Because at least with the satellites, everything at each orbit is moving at a predictable speed and a predictable path. Everybody's going in the right direction. Everybody's going at the right speed for whatever, how far they are away from the Earth. With Kessler syndrome, you got shit flying in both directions, at multiple different levels, literally feet apart from each other, changing how fast they have to go. Like, I just don't know.
Bouncing off each other.
Yeah, like, I guess, somebody in chat said lasers. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, man, lasers.
Yeah, makes sense.
Pew, pew.
But here's the problem with lasers is that anything that's optical from the ground is going to interact with the atmosphere.
Oh, it'd have to be space lasers.
Yeah, because if you used a ground laser, you'd just be reflecting that shit off the atmosphere, creating like the Aurora Borealis 2.0.
It'll get diffused and stuff. It had the power of a laser to get there would probably have to be
how do you power it?
Get there and destroy something is
so. Is this what
you can harness like solar electricity? So you can use that solar power.
Yeah, we need a
laser,
big magnifying glass,
giant magnifying glass,
and just.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Kansas. We missed it. We were aiming for that little piece of junk, and we hit Kansas instead.
So it's like the Tower of Nod or whatever from C was it Command and Conquer?
That's it. Yeah, man.
Where it just sits on the space station. Anytime something goes by like a bug zapper, just vaporizes it.
I mean, now that I know we're kind of joking lasers and blah blah blah, but microwaves, literally like a focused beam of high
just
powered
superheated
microwaves. Yeah, just bzzzt.
There's only one problem with that though. Microwaves like to reflect off metallic surfaces. So
yeah, but it would be scattered and stuff. It wouldn't be like bouncing a laser off a mirror. It would scatter and that kind of stuff. But whatever it is you're beaming would melt. It'd heat up and melt. That's why you don't put forks in a microwave.
Would it need to be a net? Could it not just be like a giant like bucket that you just sort of like, because it's not like anything's going to go through it. The trouble, either net or bucket or whatever, the trouble is you're dealing with such high velocities, you're going to punch out through the bottom of the bucket. The trouble is it's like they're highly erratic, like orbits and stuff, like and then there's things bumping into each other that are bumping into other things and knocking stuff all over the place. It's almost like a one piece at a time, because you got to come up on it. Okay, which way is it going to go, and grab it. Okay, and now it's like attaching. I imagine it'd be very much like attaching the shuttle to the space station, but for every single piece of thing that you're trying to grab. But you couldn't just go through different orbits. You couldn't just power yourself through different orbits with a big sort of like opposite of a cow catcher on the front, just like grabbing the stuff, like literally just like you're. And then
it just has to be tough, so it either doesn't bounce off or punch through.
But again, as long as you're going with the stuff, you're saying it's going in all different directions, though, isn't it? Right. So it's
it's pretty wild chaos
the
out
best
there.
and scariest idea I've seen so far is launch nuclear weapons just right outside of our atmosphere.
Blow it away.
Blow it away. Just create the explosion under it so that the
what could go wrong with that?
Yeah,
then you've got Godzilla.
We're not going to ignite the atmosphere or anything. It's cool. We've done enough in-air nuclear explosions. It's fine.
I'm sure that we'd eventually come up with technology too to do a nuclear shape charge.
Yeah, probably.
You know, where basically you blow it up, but it just directs most of the energy out into space. Because the thing is, the only way you're going to clear the shit out of orbit, right, is to either force it to deorbit. So you have to create some kind of a force that pulls on it that's going to bring it down. And how is that force going to discriminate between it and the satellites you want to keep up there, right?
Yeah.
So, or your other option is to sacrifice the satellites and the biggest collections of that garbage. Like, look where the most densest layers are where that's happening. And then just go up there and sacrifice the satellites or get them out of harm's way. And then just launch a nuke up there, blow it up underneath it so that the directed energy is moving outward away from the Earth, and then it just carries all those pieces off. But then all those pieces are off fucking ricocheting into other shit, right?
But it wouldn't even have to be that powerful, really, right? You just need to you would just need some kind of a form of propulsion to send this stuff out.
Well, the biggest problem is even they're moving so fast at 17,500 miles an hour.
That to get them out of orbit,
huge to get any of them. Because like that entire cloud could come in, and that explosion, by the time that energy wave gets there, it's like half the shit's already gone by 10 miles. So you'd really have to like do a lot of math and figure out like where is the biggest cloud of garbage and detonate it just the right time that energy reaches it to impart some push on it. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like one of those really weird problems that one day we'll have to solve. Just like, just like climate change, right? I mean, we're gonna have to figure it out. It's inevitable.
Because and I think we're getting close because I think we're getting close because like this whole Russian thing was like, them blowing up that satellite was a huge.
I mean, that's an eye opener, right? That they can create that much of a global stir, just shooting down their own shit. Like,
but we've done that too, right?
We've
blown up our own satellite. Yeah, I mean, like this is the funny thing is it's like, and India's done it, China's done it, like other places have done it. Russia, just of course, because Putin seems to be like the best Bond villain that's ever existed. Right? Like literally, they have not written as good a Bond villain as Putin. Like the guys, they should just put him in a movie and he's there. But he just did it at a perfect time. When it's like, let's talk about space, shall we? And it's like, boom. You
guys mind if I take a couple of these awesome super chats?
No, please do. I'm going to go and grab some more coffee because, focus and all.
Yeah, caffeinate, man. Hey, Miss Liz, thank you for that $4 super chat. Said, love my friends. Oh, we love you too, Miss Liz. You're the best. I am me. Thank you. The $5.69 said, David is joining us in a minute. Who's David? Well, you just met him. That is the wonderful David Hewlett. He's got an IMDb about 5 miles long. But most people remember him from Stargate Atlantis, where he played Dr. Rodney McKay. Well, he was in Stargate, too. He was actually on it. That's where he started, as a character on Stargate that was never supposed to be a part of another series. And he was just so good in those guest appearances that they said, oh, fuck, we got to give this guy like a main role. If you haven't seen Stargate Atlantis, it's amazing. If you're a sci-fi fan, you'll love it. Yeah. Eric G, thank you for the $2 super chat. He said, hey guys, hope everything's good. Well, I mean, good's relative, but we're alive. So I'd say we're a lot gooder than dead. So that's hell yeah. Good day. John O'Rourke, thank you for the 99-cent super chat. We appreciate each and every penny. Jeffrey Tripp, thank you for the $5. Said, thank you for this talk. I needed this today more than you will know. See, that makes me happy. Helping out other people makes me happy. That's the thing that really gets me going and puts lead in my pencil, if you know what I mean. Hazifa, thank you for the $2 super chat. He said, missed the great David Hewlett last week. Well, he's back now.
Oh, he's
back and better than ever, except for right now he's getting coffee, and that's okay because he's David Hewlett and he can do that shit. Albert Kelly, thank you for the $10 super chat. He said, thanks for being here, guys, fighting the good fight. Well, I don't know if I'd call it the good fight, the bad fight, or otherwise fight, but I'm glad we're doing something. Yeah. Joe Taji, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, have you seen the channel, The Science Asylum? That sounds familiar. It looks like something you would like. Also, there's good reviews and breakdowns of the platform. Science Asylum. That sounds really familiar. Are they the guys that like broke down the whole keyword ban thing? Or was that a different channel?
Never heard of them. Don't know.
They sound really familiar. I'm going to look them up really quick.
Can I help you?
The Science Asylum. Here, let me go over to the two views. All right, let's see here. Science. Damn it. Science Asylum. There it is. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, no, I've watched these guys forever. Yeah, no, I love this guy. This guy's awesome. Yeah, no, as a matter of fact, I just watched one of his videos this morning.
Oh,
nice.
Nice.
Because on the TV, you don't see the name of the channel that often. You just see the videos.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is Nick Lucid. Yeah, no, I know this guy. I watch, dude, his videos are like all. As a matter of fact, I know which video I watched. He's the one that did the original video on how electricity actually works. They got ripped off by Veritasium 2 years later. No shade towards Veritasium though. No, I love his videos. I absolutely love his videos. And let's be honest, everything is redone just in different ways. Yeah. And he had a very unique video himself. But the Science Asylum, it's like Simpsons did it. Yeah, 2 years ago, he showed how electrons, or your electricity that you get has nothing to do with the electrons moving through the wire, but the magnetic field itself, which I thought was really cool. Hey, Hero, thank you for the 10 poundaroos, dude.
Thanks, man. We like those. We do, man.
British pounds. Give us those pounds.
That's the good stuff. That's that good stuff.
Let's hear
pound sterling.
Yeah, I know sterling, man. Not even just it's not regular pounds. It's sterling.
It's shiny.
Isn't sterling silver like that really good silver that like is in silverware that you steal from restaurants and shit,
right?
And put on eBay? That's pound sterling. That's where that comes from. Just kidding. That was total bullshit.
Who is Sterling and why do they pound him? That seems really fucked up.
Hey, Sterling, I have good authority. He's got 12 inches, if you know what I'm saying. So that's why everybody's pounding.
What have I come back to? What have I come back to?
We were telling everybody about like where pound sterling came from, and it was a guy named Sterling who got pounded a lot. So don't judge us.
Knowing the Brits, there probably is a story like that. There's usually something.
Yeah, you know what? It's like, I think that because I was watching this video the other day where I was like trying to get the cultural references, but it's like this guy who's just like, he's from the UK and he cusses a blue streak, but he doesn't say any conventional cuss words. They're all like cuss words.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because like when you watch it, it's like you can tell from his mannerisms and everything that he's saying really offensive shit. But like
you don't know what he's saying.
But I don't really get it. Like they don't flip you off. They do the peace sign, the peace sign backwards or something. Like
flipping the bird.
I'm like, and he was doing it in like a really rude context, and I was like, okay, well that's gotta be flipping the bird UK style. And lo and behold, it was. But he kept saying like all these other little words and phrases that after watching Top Gear, the only reason I had any idea he was cussing is from watching Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear for like 20 seasons. Right. But I just thought it was funny to see that because I'm like, this guy, if he came over here, he could literally walk into a school talking like that and nobody would be the wiser.
No difference. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, is it the same way with us? Like if I went to the UK and just started dropping F-bombs and S-bombs all over the place?
No, everything we say offends them.
Okay,
it doesn't. Nice. You don't even have to try to be. You didn't have to try to be.
Because somebody told me the C word over there is like their version of shit. Like it's not even that bad, but here it's like you go to prison.
It's still, it's definitely thrown around a lot more than it is here.
Because I'll just be watching YouTube and he'll just be dropping some guy like doing a project in his garage, just dropping the C-bomb, and I'm like, looking around from his Barnacules, like, oh shit, man, I better turn this down. Woo!
Yeah.
I can watch, freaking, Eddie Murphy Raw and not even turn a head in this house. But boy, you get one of them UK guys dropping the C-bomb left and right. Woo!
Yeah.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah, it's that's a word that just didn't really translate over here very well. Yeah.
I wonder how many other words we have like that, where it's like they're just deeply offensive here, but it's just a part of like the normal lexicon in like another country. Like kids just walking around saying it, and you're like, what the hell? But like it means something different to them.
Well, isn't like seal fuck in French or something? Is there? I remember in French class, everyone going like, or something. There was like there's some animal that has a name that everyone was like
weird.
See, that would be even more awkward is if you say a word that's innocuous in your language, but in their language, it's like fighting words. Like you go to Mexico or something, you're like, can I have a beer? And beer means like I did something to your sister. Like, I mean, it's like, it's like, how do you avoid a situation like that? I guess people just have to be like empathetic and be like, oh, this person just doesn't speak very good, whatever language we have. That's probably the only way to do it. Oh, Miss Liz said C word is supposedly the same as fucker here. I kind of got that same vibe even in the UK. That's how it's used. But here in the United States, it's derogatory specifically towards women.
Right.
So that's probably why it's it's not an equal opportunity offending word here.
No, it's almost like it's almost
or like in the UK, whenever you see somebody ask for a cigarette, you're like, even though you know what it means, but you're still like, because you're like, whoa, woke nation.
Where does that term come from? Too, I don't know what
I have no idea.
It's like how cigarettes ended up being called the F word. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just don't. You know.
Yeah, it's like
oh, that's it. That's it. Yeah, seal in French is fuck. See, there you go, Paul. See,
Nice.
seriously.
and that's
oh
I remember
my God.
because I remember in school going like every story I had was like le fuck est dans la maison avec il fuck ami.
So what you're saying is there's not a lot of American marine biologists working in France.
Although there might be, but
Because they don't get through the
time.
interview. They're just like, oh, I specialize in seals and these
Yeah.
seals and these types of seals and seal that and seal this.
Yeah. Oops, shit. Sorry.
That would actually be pretty funny. I wonder if there's words in other languages that are bad words here in English.
Well, the Nova. Remember the Nova when the Nova car came out?
Yeah, I know the Nova. I'm very familiar with that car.
So in Mexico, that means no go.
Oh, yeah. That's why it didn't sell very well.
No
yeah.
shit.
It means no
Nova.
go. Don't
Nova.
go. Doesn't move.
No,
doesn't
no go.
Yeah.
No
doesn't
go in
Yeah,
Mexico.
Nova.
Oh my God.
Well, wait a second. Doesn't meta mean something terrible somewhere else? Like
Probably.
Please tell me
it
that's
does.
true
It
after
does.
what Facebook
No,
did.
meta means like I can't remember what it is now. Like the Death Bringer or something. I guess it's like
geez.
I mean, that's
What is it?
appropriate.
it's from the Old Norse. No, never mind. Nice try.
Yeah.
Bundle of sticks. Is it a bundle of sticks?
Yeah.
You go back far enough.
Yeah,
Sure.
if you go back far enough, it was a bundle of sticks, and then it went from bundle of sticks to cigarettes.
It's kiss in Arabic.
Arabic?
Arabic.
Oh.
Thank you.
Or
God, I
Arabic?
can't speak today.
Dude, I
Arabic?
can't
What is
speak
that?
I know. It's like, a rabbit? Where?
It's like a Rubik's cube, but it's an
I am
Arabic
so on the
cube.
ball today. It seems I am having the weirdest sleeps. I was watching the. I was trying to catch up on C episodes because I'm supposed to talk to the salty nerds on a podcast on Tuesday, and I realized I hadn't
cool.
watched all of season 2 yet, and they know their shit. So they're like, I'm like, I better watch it, otherwise it's gonna be like, who did what to who? Yeah. But come on, the meta. Someone's got to have it. Meta. There's like meta means something somewhere else. I remember hearing about it. Maybe it was just like
Oh, pinto means small wiener.
small dick.
Okay,
That's
all
nice.
right.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna take my small dick for a test drive. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's gonna work for people.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
So we
you're
sold
driving
car
a
there
small
called the
dick
no go and the small dick.
and the small dick. I mean, that is how international America is.
Wait, aren't a bunch of like our cars here manufactured in Mexico?
Oh yeah, a good chunk of them.
Okay.
God, that would have been awkward. If
Not back
Okay,
when the
not back
Nova
then,
was
okay.
coming out.
Mm.
Like that was Chicago or Detroit or
Yeah, because
something.
I'd
I'm
imagine
sure.
at this point somebody would let them know during the R&D process, like you guys might not want to name your car Small Dick. You know, it's
You
like
think? Yeah, that's.
I don't think it's going to sell very well.
Yeah. Well, I think they are a lot better about that now. To check in. Like that's why you'll have like your Corolla isn't called that in India or whatever. It's still the same like product. They just call it something different because it appeals better to that market
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Oh, Albert Kelly got us an answer on the C word.
Oh, what's
apparently it's an old Norse word that comes from kunta,
Oh yeah, kunta.
originally
Oh,
meaning
okay.
somebody's
Yeah, yeah.
ass.
right.
So it's like fanny. Like that's another thing. Like fanny, I always thought fannies were butts, but apparently they're the front butt. Is that true?
Oh, in England. Well, in England, that's a bad word, right?
Yeah, but like in England, when you say fanny, you're actually talking about the front side. You're not talking about the back side, right?
Huh.
But here in the
You're talking
U.S.,
about
we call it the back. That's the back side. Like if you say somebody's
Yeah,
fanny,
I
you're talking
didn't-
about their butt. You're not talking about their front works.
Yeah.
Weird.
Can somebody in chat confirm that? Because I could have swore that was confusing the hell out of me when I kept hearing people talk in the context of the front part and calling it a fanny. Or is it a universal term that's just anything down there?
Yeah, I don't know.
These are
That's
things we
weird.
need to know. I feel
Fanny
like-
is the female front part, isn't it? Isn't
yeah,
that
that's
it?
what I thought. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
The
But
female
here
front part. What am I,
here
like,
it's
10
different. In the
years
United
old?
States, if you tell somebody, "Hey, you get your fanny out of my face," they're gonna think you mean butt.
So the fanny packs, when you're wearing a fanny pack, it's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, do they wear their fanny packs in the front over there? Where we wear ours in the
Well,
back? Like,
aren't you supposed to?
I'm confused by this.
Ah. Wait a sec. Someone's untidy text saying meta is death in Hebrew. I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, see, everybody. Some people are saying it's a butt. And some people are saying
people
it's
are saying
lady
it's slang for vaginous. Weird.
Yeah, look at that,
vagina.
man.
Yeah,
Oh,
now
you
see,
mean
Jason
fupa.
Bassett is hitting on. That's the one I've heard of, the fupa, not as a very popular term, but as the
It's actually a medical term.
front upper
Abdominal. What is it? Front,
upper
upper.
area. Uh-oh.
Yeah, area. That's what it is. Yeah.
So there you go. Yes, and meta apparently sounds very similar to the word for dead in Hebrew.
I must bid
Oh yeah,
thee
you have to depart,
adieu,
dude. You got like
adieu.
family obligations.
I
you outta here?
apologize for my
Where are you out to?
Longview. I gotta go way down south. It's like hour and a half plus drive to me ma's place.
Oh, go see me
My
mom.
mom. Yeah,
Say hi to your mom.
we'll do. Thank you, all of you guys. I love when we get off on weird stuff. I feel like we should just be like random podcasts.
That's what I love. Is like there's no
So
real
good.
goals of
Stop the
growth
tech
or
talk.
anything here. We
Yeah.
just do this because it's
Like
fun.
just
like it.
talk.
Yeah.
Just talk.
It still rattles around in my head that like every once in a while we ought to do like what does Houston know about X? Because like I'm so full of weird random trivia.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
don't feel
like,
like we've
Jerry will
picked
be
you on
like,
the random
"Oh,
trivia lately.
I don't know if you've heard about this thing," and I'm like, bro,
It's like, bro,
let me
I
tell
wrote
you about the day that
I'm
I
wearing
spent,
it right now.
the day I spent on Wikipedia at 2 a.m. It's fun.
It's got to be weird though. That's the thing is all of his trivia is on really weird stuff that
it's
you'd never
very
think
strange.
about.
Well,
Oh yeah, I've heard of that thing, and then I go on for an hour and a half about it. Like I don't know a whole lot. It's very surface level stuff, but let me tell you, I love it. It's so much
I
fun.
love the odd rabbit holes you can go down. Like where you just go like, I'm going to learn everything about, I don't know, Punnett squares. So that was the thing the other day. I was like, Punnett squares. I know about Punnett squares, but I got to
Sounds
figure it out.
familiar.
You know,
It's like numbers,
working out,
right?
It's working out the phenotype and the genotype of
Oh, that's
things.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know nothing about what you guys said.
This
It's
is
kinda neat.
genetics thing.
it's genetic. Yeah, it's like the boring part of the genetics.
Right.
It's not the mutated monsters. It's just
You can
the,
see-
all right, get out of
you
here.
can see I gotta go.
All right,
Just kidding.
Get out of your Ox.
All right, bye, you guys. Thanks, everybody. Follow us on social media and stuff. Be good. Eat your
See how
vegetables.
long
Look
it
both ways
fights.
across the street. Don't take any wooden Indians. We'll see you later. Bye.
And then there was two.
All good advice. Yeah. Now we'll talk about what Ox doesn't know.
Yeah, you've been busy lately, man.
I've been busy, and I've also just been really I've just been talking about unfocused. I just feel like I'm being pulled in a million different directions right now.
Well, have you done anything cool in the last couple of weeks that you can
I
actually
did.
talk about?
I just did a little short film with a friend of mine, who I haven't worked with since I did a film with him called Treed Murray years and years ago about a guy who gets chased up a tree and then basically turns the little gang against itself to try to get out of there. Really fun film, actually, if anyone gets a chance. I think it's called Get Down in the States, because they tried to make it a little more urban.
Where's it going to be like available to watch?
The short, I don't know. I mean, I imagine it'll just be on the internet. But and at some festivals and stuff. But he just wanted to. I tried to talk him out of it. I was like, look, you're gonna make a movie. Just grab an iPhone. They got great cameras on them. Let's just freaking do some stuff. Let's just make it. But he's like, no, I want to do he wanted to do it like a giant feature film, but he wanted to do it just a little short thing, show off some of his, his creepy stuff and some of his just some fun shots and things. So I was like, all right, okay, fine.
Nice.
And then Jane produced it. So Jane handled all of the making it happen, Jane and Rose. And Rose is Jane's producing assistant, and she's amazing.
How do you monetize something like that? Where it's just like straight.
I don't know that you do.
So
I don't
they
know that
just
you do.
eat the cost of it. It's just a passion project.
Well, this is it. I mean, you want to know why Hollywood's so white? It's because film is expensive. Film is expensive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it's a certain amount of privilege you've got to have before you get to the point where you've got the money to spend on that stuff. It's funny. I was watching the Val Kilmer documentary the other night, and he was one of the first people to have a video camera, because he was he was from a well-to family. His family was for a while there was a big real estate investors and stuff, and they had coin.
I haven't watched that documentary yet, but it's worth a watch.
I haven't finished it yet. I find it really disturbing. Like, it's quite creepy.
Oh wow.
I mean, I grew up with him, right? I mean, I
guess I kind of expect that from Val Kilmer, though. He's a little bit of a eccentric type, right?
But he's odd in a way that I hadn't thought, if that makes sense. Like, it's worth watching. It's definitely worth watching. But the fact of the matter is, anything shot on old video is just creepy to me. It just, for some reason, it just kind of, there's something, I don't know whether it's an uncanny valley thing or what the deal is, but there's some kind of effect that video has where it's like you're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like how horror movies have kind of cornered the market on still using like that fuzzy 80s analog video vibe.
For no reason.
Yeah, so
let's go to the security cameras that are completely digital. Oh, they have video, this video effects on it. Yeah, there's like a bad VHS effect. Yeah, so so basically he funded this thing, he made it, and it's just a sort of, he just wanted sort of just to try some stuff out that he wasn't able to do. I mean, the problem with developing films is you spend years and years and years developing films. You don't get to make films, right?
Yeah.
In that time, you're writing, you're doing meetings and all this kind of crap. So he's just like, well, screw this. I just want to make a movie. I've saved up. I got a bit of money, and so he just paid to do it properly. And I mean, like, I my hat's off to him. I think that's like, it's not, my approach is always very DIY. I'd much rather, I feel like I feel like things should be cheaper. Maybe I'm
how many people are involved in like just a little Indian film,
so
like
film like that?
Like how many people are involved from like soup to nuts on that?
Well, for the whole, like, okay, just the shooting alone, the crew was probably around 20 people.
My
20
God,
people.
how can they? How is he funding this? Is everybody just working pro bono, or?
Well, people are working for lower rates or flat rates, but they're still getting paid.
Because I don't know how you could afford to make just as a passion project, unless you were like super multimillionaire and you're just like, I just want to make something, put it on the web. God, that's just crazy amounts of money to create anything.
Okay, but I would argue this, and this would be my pitch to him, what I tried to pitch to him was, I said, like, let's just get, like, if you like, we could use an iPhone, or we can use or we could rent a little DSLR or something like that, or just get a DSLR. He's got a nice little Sony. I was like, let's just use the Sony NEX thing he's got. And let's just like goof around and try some stuff. And like, I believe you can make a film that looks just as good as anything in freaking Hollywood for a fraction of the cost.
Oh, I 100% agree.
If you've got the time to do it. And that's what we've got, time, right? I mean, like, if you're doing it for free, you have time. If you're paying people, you don't have time because you're paying them time. So that was my pitch. But again, I feel like I think there's a mentality around this stuff. There's not a right or a wrong. Of course I'm right. And they're wrong. But but I feel like there's a mentality that that people don't want to take on too much. And maybe that may be the ADHD thing in me, where I feel like I can do everything. But it's like, oh, you want snow effects? Great, I'll put freaking snow effects in your movie. Like, I just think you can add. I just think there's so many different resources out there. I think the film industry is out of touch with film technology. If I was to have a little, Don Quixote tilting at windmills kind of thing, it would be, I feel that technology has surpassed what the film industry now does.
No, I agree.
When I watch a Star Wars movie now and everyone goes, ooh, look at the effects, I'm like, yeah, I've seen it in short films for the last like 5 years. Like, it's not a big deal. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rarely do I see effects that I go, oh, only Hollywood could do. It just doesn't happen like that.
And I feel like YouTube's kind of conditioning people to expect something of a lower quality. It's more about the story and it's more about the people. Like, we're just conditioned from watching YouTube every day and everything online and TikTok and everything. I feel like humanity is slowly having their expectations lowered to where they're more about the story than they are the effects. Like, when I was a kid,
that's interesting, because that's like the opposite of what I've just said. But but at the same time, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, because think about this, like Jurassic Park. I remember when I went and saw Jurassic Park, I wasn't that into dinosaurs when I was a kid. I just wanted to see freaking real dinosaurs on a screen moving around. And it was like, nothing else had that. Like, you couldn't experience that anywhere else.
Yeah, that was... And there were shots and effects there that I was like, it's like there's dinosaurs there. Like, there was nothing out there. And now that's not the case.
Yeah, and it was one of those movies you just go watch because it's so freaking visually stunning. Like, I feel like the story could have been crap and I still would have went and watched it just because of the dinosaurs. There's certain movies you watch for the effects and there's certain movies you watch for the story. I mean, rarely do you get it both. I'd argue like the Avenger movies are a pretty good representation of that. I like all the Avengers movies. I like, okay.
I just jaded and old.
I like was it Taika Waititi or whatever?
Taika Waititi, yeah, because he brought humor
anything
into
he
it.
touches.
Yes,
anything he touches is gold.
Then watch Reservation Dogs.
Oh well, it's on my list.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
I still haven't seen it, but no, he is a special kind of funny. Like, that dude is just talented, not just as an actor himself, but as a producer, everything. He's a man. He reminds me of the dude that made Mandalorian. What's his name? Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah.
So Favreau is another one of those ones where it's like he can be in front of the camera, behind the camera, producing, making, writing. Like, he can just do it all. He's just song and a dance man. Yeah. And I love that. There's very few people that can wear that many hats effectively. Yeah. And I love it when they just give full control of a project to somebody like that too, where it's like,
because then it has a personality. It's less of a generic Like, and I think that's, look, this is one of the things I love about this push for diversity stuff now is that, you know, studios are going like, okay, so we have to give like women directing positions. We have to give people of color directing positions. We also can't tell them what to do because then we're going to get nailed for that too. And all of a sudden you start seeing these films that are inspired by different perspectives on the world than we're used to when it's just a bunch of privileged white guys who can afford to buy their own movies. You know what I mean? Like that is the difference now. And I think that's where I'm excited to see where Hollywood's going with that stuff. I do think we're going to see hopefully more stuff that speaks to us better than just like, let's just blow everything up. Because the fact of the matter is you could just go on YouTube and look up, you know, monster effects and you can watch days, years of cool monsters showing up and breaking things.
Yeah, download After Effects and Unreal 5 and spend a couple of weeks, you know, running through the tutorials and you could probably create something that like in the 90s would have killed.
Absolutely.
Like, it took a team of, you know, 100 people 2 years to do what you pulled off in like 2 days using like Unreal.
I would say you could go back 5 years on any effect and create it now. Within 5 years, I would say you've got the window of that being original. That might even be getting smaller when you look at things like, you know, Corridor Crew or you know, Action Movie Dad.
Dude, you can deep fake in real time on your iPhone better and get a better deep fake than what they could do just 3 years ago using like big mainframe computers.
Well, and this is it. I still feel like the film industry, and again, this film industry is also incredibly unionized as well, right? So there are positions for everybody. You can't just have you're not allowed to have a cinematographer who also operates the camera. And if you do, you've got to have different trade-offs with the union stuff. So this was a non-union crew, but a union cast because they wanted, like, for some reason, they wanted me in it. So
at a certain point, it just slows everything down, right? Because you're not getting your vision to film. You have to go through 20 different translations, and you're not always going to get the end product you want just by the sheer mass of people between you and that.
Yeah, it's like, to me, I'm like, as a director nowadays, I think should be able to pick up a camera and do all the cinematography and all the filming himself or herself. I mean, I think that's I feel like that would be such an advantage to be able to do that. But I also understand that there's some people are more focused on, you know, on the acting side of it or whatever. But I just, it's like remember when, well, you know, you're too young, but like when word processing became a thing where anybody could write a book. We're going to be flooded with books. Like, yeah, we are bad books. There's still talent missing from this. There's a ton of technologies that allow people to tell stories.
Hey, well, not to toot my own horn, but I did run WordPerfect in DOS, so I am a little bit of an old soul.
Oh, there you go. So there you go. So WordPerfect was our go-to as well.
Yeah, because remember, I'm 42 years old and I started using computers when I was 7. So
right, okay.
Yeah,
so
we're
similar.
I caught the WordPerfect era.
I was doing essays at school on a Commodore 64 using Bank Street Writer, which was a program that was written by like a 16-year-old, and you had to split up the files, like every page or so had to become a new file because the files couldn't be that big.
Yeah, because there's only enough memory to hold like that many characters, and
that was it. And then you'd print it out on your dot matrix printer, and then I was given it back by the teacher who said I cheated because I'd had the computer write it for me.
So back in those days when you were using the computer, did you ever think to yourself, man, when I grow up, I'm going to be able to put on a headset, or not even a headset, because there's mics now that just are unidirectional, and just talk to your computer and have it type this stuff out with proper punctuation and everything?
No, I mean, that was the dream, right? That was the dream. Yeah. I don't understand why I'm still seeing the same freaking robotic arms that I saw back in the 70s. Like, what the fuck? Why don't we should have cooler robotic arms. We do. They're coming. But it's still like, I'm like, get on with it. Like, things are so slow. Like, it's like, you know.
I feel like as soon as something becomes trendy, like whether it be a TV show, that's another thing I think TV shows and movies really do for us, is they tend to make something that not a lot of people know about mainstream.
Yeah.
Like VR. I really think that, I mean, VR has been around since the 80s. Hell, probably even the 70s, but like, in the 80s, you can tell, they still haven't made a VR the old Davy boy here can handle. But I actually have some ideas for you still to try, man. So have a couple more barf bags ready, because I'm convinced that I can get you comfortable in VR.
You know what I might be able to do is do what I did with Minecraft, which is I was determined to play Minecraft, and I would get motion sickness in Minecraft, which is saying something. And I basically would sit down and do like 15 minutes, take a break, or like to start 10 minutes, take a break, 10 minutes, take a break. And I gradually got to the point where I could play for a period of time. But now I like post-pandemic, for some freaking reason, I don't know what it is, I've just had this slight vertigo, and it's just made it impossible.
So I have been having the same problem where for the first time ever since I've used VR, I've started getting sick. And
You're
VR.
welcome.
And
maybe
so
it's an age thing.
Maybe it
it's
is.
like you hit
maybe
50.
it is. But again, just like you said, it's because I've been having this I had a bad inner ear infection. It gave me a little bit of vertigo, and I still have a little vertigo, and that's translating into VR becoming uncomfortable now. However, I solved it, so I think I might have something else for you to try.
What have you got? Not a magnet bracelet.
Nope.
We tried that. Yeah.
What kind of fucking hack do you think I am?
It's who was it who sent it to me? When a lovely guy sent me a bracelet because he was convinced that was going to work, and I was like, I'll try it, but I don't buy it.
Yeah, bracelet ain't gonna do shit. No, this actually has some science behind it. So what you need to do is get yourself a little carpet, a textured carpet, and be barefoot and stand on the carpet. But the carpet needs to be just so if you take one step forward, you're off the carpet. Like it needs to keep you stationary in one spot. Because what you'll do is you'll feel with your feet. If you take a step forward or a step back, or you rotate around, you'll feel something tangible on your feet. So your brain has another thing to correlate off of in the real world. And then what you do is take a fan. Just get a big fan, like a box fan or something, and point it straight at you when you start the game. And when you rotate, the wind direction will change, and it'll give your brain another thing to cue off to, indicating your direction in the real world.
I see. So you're feeling that you're turning because the wind is...
Yep. And so I tried both of these things. The wind was the biggest one, though. The fan was... If I turn a fan on and I blow it on me, even at like medium or high, and I'm in VR, when I'm swinging around and rotating and moving my head like this, I can feel the subtle change in the wind direction on my body. And it just, for some reason...
giving your body cues so your brain is not going, oh, you're being poisoned, throw up. Yeah.
Yep, that's all I had to do. And now I don't get any... Even if I get a vertigo spell while I'm in VR, it doesn't feel like it's coming from the VR. So it doesn't...
I'll have to show my little sister VR today, so maybe I'll...
Dude, we have to get you comfortable in there because, man, I look forward to the day where you and I can jump into a VR session and do something. I think that would be the greatest live stream ever. Is just me and you just lightsaber duel or something.
I'll try it. Like right now, it'd be even better session because I'll just throw up all over you. So
like every 3 minutes, you're just like your VR character just goes. You're like bending over and like moving, like you're
doing that weird jittering freeze thing. As I'm like,
what are you doing, David?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're in the background. Oh God, you need to get the bag, get the vacuum.
Oh God, it's just nothing worse.
Saw threw up again.
Yeah.
No, I think
that guy who's picking through my garbage is now throwing up in the front window.
Yeah, well, I want to get you used to VR because I really do think that the VR is accelerating in popularity, and I think that we are going to see more and more stuff moving towards VR and AR.
Well, look, here's the thing. I think even just the way the Oculus is set up now, where you can sometimes it'll put a little overlay of the world behind you, so you can see what's going on in the room. That helps a huge amount. I'll take out a little bit of the immersive quality if it gets me, if I can sort of see what's going on. You know what I mean? Like that's made a big difference. I love Baz was doing so. Baz was cornering off a little square where he would play. And I was like, dude, you don't have to do that. You can actually. So now we've actually cordoned it off around furniture and stuff now. So you can move. You've got quite a range of movement. And then we got a fucking dog. But that's beside the point.
Dude, you can actually play outside. A lot of people don't know that, but you can play outside.
Really?
So yeah, everybody's like, "Oh my God, the sun's gonna like burn up the headset." No, just don't point the optics up at the sun because they're Fresnel lenses. But the sun is fine for the cameras. The IR cameras are unaffected. I know tons of people.
It's November in Toronto. There is no sun. Yeah, it's all snow and misery now. It's all grim and all is gray.
Yeah, don't go out if it's like super like beaming down, top sun, hot day, and like set your head. Right. Don't set your headset down outside though, because it will catch fire.
Really?
But yeah, because if you set it down, and people set them face down with lenses up because they don't want the lenses to get scratched, and they're Fresnel lenses, so the sun hits them at any direction and it'll form a point of light and burn the screen.
Of course it will.
So you want to make sure that you have something like if you set it down, something to cover the lenses, or you set it lenses down. But the cool thing about playing outside with like the Quest 2 is as long as you have some stuff that's somewhat in range, like it doesn't work very well if you're just in like a massive, huge open area, I found. But if you're like in a yard where you got a tree 50 feet away or whatever, and you got a house, like so it cues off those just fine for motion. And you can literally have your entire yard. Like you could run around your entire freaking yard playing like paintball in VR.
Well, I love that idea. Like the concept of that, like mapping out an entire building. Could you imagine that? Like mapping out an entire building and just having it like just have a giant empty space to play. That's actually Baz. So today is one of our tech bandits, Bag of Chips, is having his birthday, and he's doing it in a virtual reality place. So Baz is all taken off to go to some virtual reality place now where
Those are actually pretty fun. I did an experience like that at Disneyland once where you wore a VR headset and a backpack and you actually walked around holding a physical blaster that correlated to a real one in the game with your arms mapped and everything. And so you're running around in armor like a stormtrooper, like shooting at
That's
stuff.
the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah, and you see an R2-D2 come out and you can actually go over and touch and interact with R2-D2, but when you lift up the mask, he's just like this wooden structure with some servos on him. So you can feel his head move and stuff. It's really creepy, but it's all mapped perfectly. So like when you run and duck for cover behind a wall, like a half wall, there's literally a half wall there correlating to the one in the game. So when you put your hand on stuff in the game, it's a physical object. And it really, your brain accepts it.
That's the brilliance. I mean, that's the stuff that I love about it. I mean, the concept of, I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? That is the meta, the metaverse, or the cyberspace as it used to be called. But I mean, I love that idea. I feel like, I don't know. I worry a little bit about this complete disconnect from like what happens when you disconnect that much? What if it gets to the point where you wake up every morning, you put on your office, you go to work, and you never leave the space you're in? But that's where it's going to go, right? Isn't it? I mean, eventually,
it does seem like it, right? I mean, it's like, but it's the same thing that I've asked myself when I watch Star Trek. That's like, if there's a holodeck, what's keeping everybody from just living on the holodeck? Like, why would you ever want to leave the holodeck?
Would never leave the holodeck
because it's so real. You don't know it's not real. Yeah. So, and you can eat and drink. Well, they claim that there's no nutritional value, but let's say you beam in a burger every once in a while and eat something real. It's like you could live there and you'd forget pretty quickly that you were on a holodeck.
But here's my thing is I feel like we're focusing on trying to improve the quality of these things that we stick on our senses. When the reality is we need to just hack straight into the brain, because the brain, like we're like it. I feel like we're at the stage where it's clumsy. We're trying to we're trying to sort of we're trying to duct tape things on to make it immersive. And the reality is the only way to make it truly immersive is to have it a direct tap into the brain. Yeah. You order a burger, your brain hits you with all the right chemicals and it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like gives you all the sensations. I mean, like, eventually that is the only way this is going to truly work, because everything else is to me is duct tape. Is just like that's my I'm not saying it's not worth, of course we have to do it, but I just feel like then you're going to have concerns about then you're going to have there's going to be rashes on the face from the masks and the eyes. How bad are your eyes after you've had these things on for a long period of time? I love what Oculus has done with the sound, where you're able to hear the real world, but you have a great sense of the sound. That's beautiful. I mean, they're doing a great job of it. It's just unfortunate that they're like this, that they're like a Death Star that are now trying to take over the VR operating system.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my biggest regrets in VR right now is that Facebook has the market share. And when anybody asks me like what headset to get, I have to promote theirs, because nobody has $700 to $1,000 laying around to try VR.
Yeah, there are better systems out there for sure, but from a one that makes sense to buy for the home now, the Oculus is the only one.
It's cheaper. Right, it's like cheaper to buy an Oculus Quest and 2 controllers than it is just to get like a handheld gaming system now.
And why is that? Because of all that fucking data.
Yeah, that's the Facebook problem. Is subsidizing it, exactly.
Because fucking Zuckerberg is sucking back and it's just like is in our eyeballs now. No, it really bothers me.
It just goes to show, though, people don't. At the end of the day, the almighty dollar speaks the word, right? Like everybody can say that they hate Facebook, yet Facebook is still even on Steam, who has their own VR platform with the Index. Even on Steam, the Quest 1 and the Quest 2 kick the shit out of the Index for most users on their platform.
Yeah, and where are they buying it? On fucking Amazon, where it gets delivered. I mean, no, it's nuts. Yeah. It's nuts. I rail against these companies all the time. The reality is I want the convenience, I just bought a tap and die set. Oh, so much fun, by the way. Have you ever done any of that?
I broke a couple taps and dies and have never done it again since.
I'm sure I've broken mine already, but I just love it. The idea of the screw is broken and I can't use it. And now I've tapped it out and it works again. It's like magic. I love it.
Except for when you accidentally go in at an angle and chew up all the teeth, and then you can never tap it straight again without boring it out and making it bigger.
Don't tell my wife, but I just butchered a lamp that I was supposed to have fixed. But it's wedged enough in there now that I don't think, as long as she doesn't move the lamp, we should be fine.
It's practice.
It's practice, exactly. And just the idea of just being able to, I've had so many times, you strip a screw on a 3D printer build or a CNC or whatever, and you're like, fuck.
I strip more screws than I don't. Yeah. Because I always end up using the wrong bit, and I'm too lazy to go find the right bit, and I'm like, it kind of grabs it a little. Here, I'll just push a little harder. It just hollows it out.
Well, I was looking at drill presses because I was like, how do you get like there's no fucking I don't know how to get a straight bore on this stuff. I mean, the only way to do like if you're going from scratch, like I was actually just putting a whatever it's called in the inside of a tube. So that was fairly simple. Like you could there was already a hole to use. But the idea of having to drill a hole and then I don't know how you do that without a freaking drill press or something that's going to give you a proper.
Yeah, you'll never get it straight.
Yeah, exactly. So
I've tried. You never will.
So you're saying I need a drill press? Good. Okay, I'll order one. Yeah.
A drill press, or the other thing that you can do that's really cool, as long as it's a flat surface where the fastener is, you can actually just take what do they call them? A gauge block. So they have like a block of metal that has all the different holes in it for like testing the screw sizes. You can actually use that as a guide. You lay it flat against the surface or clamp it flat against the surface, and then use that to guide your bit in. And as long as it's made out of tool steel or something like that, and the bit, it'll stay on track. As long as you're not like reefing it back and forth.
Yeah.
It'll guide. And I've done that a couple of times when I've needed to guide something in where I just put a gauge block on it and just used it as a guide to make sure that the bit stayed up and down.
Well, you know what I realized was I was like, dude, you've got 2 freaking CNC machines in the basement.
You can just make it.
There's your drill press. There's your drill press. That's right true. There. Like
it is.
It's like you don't get straighter than that. So I'll use that.
You could literally use that like as an analog drill press if you wanted to, because you can like turn the knobs, right? Like or push the button on the keyboard to make it go down in steps. So you could just say G code turn on motor and then put the thing under it and line it up and just step
one
it down.
Turn, turn back. One turn back. Yeah,
because it's jog mode. Because I'm
gonna fuck that up.
Yeah, because I have 2 CNC machines, and that's how I always, because I'm too lazy to zero them. What I do is I just take them over to where I want it to like start on the panel. Like if I put a fresh panel in, I just take it over to where I want it to start. And then I just push the arrow down until it touches off.
Until it touches it. Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm good. Instead of doing the whole like, go down and magnetically verify that it's at the width, because that always seems to be off by an ad's ass for some reason on my machine. So I just take it over to the material and just put it in big steps, and then and then smaller steps, and then it's really micro steps until I just see the light disappear between the material and the tip, and I'm good to go.
I've got one of those little probe things, which I love. The little doop, and it just automatically finds the place and then finds how far up it's supposed to be and stuff.
Jesus, what kind of CNC machine do you have?
I've got a couple. I got a little Sane Smart one, which I love. Actually, speaking of which, I'm going to use because guess what arrived this week?
What's that?
Are you ready?
Show me.
Da, 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 da.
Oh, wow.
Look at that baby, huh? That is the Tech Bandit coin, my friend.
That is freaking awesome.
I'm going to send you one.
Where can somebody buy such a thing, sir?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. But my wife is so funny. She's like, you ordered how many? I was like, 200. She goes, well, where are you selling them? I said, I haven't worked that out yet. I was like, I know 200 people, don't I? And she's like, you can't give them all away.
Underpants, profit.
Yeah, no, but what I did do, and I'm going to talk to you about as well, is you'll notice, see that little spot there, that little nice shiny part?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So that was designed in order for me to be able to, I wanted to put a little code in there that I could use for an NFT for some people, like potentially so create an NFT, tie it to the specific coin.
Yeah.
So you have this one coin is the idea. Honestly, I just wanted the Tech Bandits to have something cool to play with. And it's really fun to just have it.
So you're going to like 3D print a jig to hold it. And then, so you can just drop them in, hit go, and it'll inscribe it. And then just drop it in.
Yeah. The idea is, basically that's the idea is that I could then, you could have a unique code on each one of these that defines it as its own thing.
Yeah.
And then I thought it'd be kind of fun to tie it to an NFT, but oh my God, mention freaking NFT on freaking Twitter. And it's like you have opened the gates of hell and have personally responsible for every death on the planet. Like it's people freaking hate. I'm like, it's raising money for kid science stuff. Like, why is everyone,
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a big crypto backlash right now. So I thought maybe, but again, I'm going to get them to my Tech Bandits first, and then I'll let them decide what they want to do with them. But
as long as the minted NFT is see, that's the thing is that people are against people that are like scamming NFTs. It's not scamming an NFT if you just create one and link it to your coin and you're actually selling the coin, because you're selling something tangible that just has an NFT attached to it. So,
well, that's what I thought. It'd be kind of fun. And I thought if you could somehow create a contract that says that any, that the money that a tiny percentage of, or whatever, a percentage of perhaps sales, if someone starts making money off the things, you go, great. Well, then throw a bit more back towards Tech Bandits, and maybe it'll pay for someone's college or something in the future. But, I haven't figured that out, but it's just so much fun to have a coin. Like it's just, I don't know what it is. There's just something about like this meaty kind of. You should do a Barnacules coin.
Well, I've never done a metal one, but I have
no, but
3D
you need like a
printed
metal
ones.
one.
Yeah, I'd like to do a metal.
There's something about. Yeah, there's something about metal. It's just got this kind of like no one's throwing out a metal coin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you hand somebody a coin.
You know what would make a cool content video is 3D printing the jig to hold like a stack of those, and then put it in the CNC machine to where like the top one is flush and almost touching where the bit is at its topmost point on the CNC, and then make it so you just push a button, it goes, and then it drops the thickness of the coin. So each time it runs, it gets out of the way. You remove the one coin, you push it, and it just goes down another. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. It just goes down the whole row, and you can just bang those things out.
But I have to figure out. I got to figure out a platform for the NFT though, if I was going to do it, because I think Ethereum's too expensive now. The whatever it's called.
Since the point isn't the profit off the NFT, but rather just sell the coin. I would just pick one of the shit coins and just stick it in their blockchain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's like a million like shit coins that are like you could probably mint an NFT for like literally fractions of a penny.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm not interested in. Like it's not really a speculative thing. I think it'd be fun if it was, but it's not. It's more to make it just to add a little tech to the Tech Bandits coin was my thought.
Yeah, I
thought maybe or like Phantom or something. Yeah. I hear that Phantom is a fun one to play with because it's not.
I try to find one that's literally designed kind of as a meme, and one that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and then mint it there. Like not one of these ones that's being promoted by tons of YouTubers and stuff for money on the side and caught up in all these scandals.
Oh my God. I know this freaking pump and dump shit is insane.
Dude, it's just out of control.
The worst thing I ever did was like, so Twitter has this feature now where you can follow a group. They said, we suggest these people.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, NFTs, follow the NFT people. They're all people just pitching their own shit all the time.
It's true.
Sell me your favorite art now. Just made $1 billion on, and it's like, oh no, I'm in a freaking multi-level marketing. And now I got to go through and go. I'm not going to have to do I got to write a little program that just searches for NFT and then boots anybody who's got it in their freaking bio.
It sucks that can you remove yourself from those groups if somebody adds you to them? Because I haven't figured out how. Because I'm added to people just add me to millions of groups every day, and I don't even know how to get myself out. Father
Ballester knows how to do this. He's
got
Twitter down.
That might be a good one. I've heard of that one, and I don't think anybody's shilling that one.
What is it?
Algorand.
What's Algorand? I've never even heard of it.
I used to have. I think I still own some in my portfolio, but it's not a coin that a lot of people talk about. So no, Save the Kids.
What's Save the Kids?
That is like the worst scam coin ever. That,
really?
Ended a million YouTubers' careers basically. Like,
really?
Stay away from that one. Yeah.
What, it was just people making money on the side pretending they were saving children?
Yeah, it was out of control, dude. Yeah, it was like literally the biggest pump and dump scam ever so far.
I just like the idea of there being technology that the kids can use and become interested in. I think there's, in the past, there's been sort of talk about like this fun little memes within Tech Bandits, which I thought would be kind of fun to make. I don't know, maybe make more coins out of the coins. This company is a Canadian company. They get this. They were a geocaching company.
So I remember I used to geocache back in the day.
Yeah. So you know how you're supposed to, when you go somewhere, you're supposed to like leave a little trinket in place for whoever you
take
go
a thing,
and
leave
something
thing
up and you leave something. So I thought, again, perfect. Like leave a Tech Bandit coin. So like I'll look up some when it's not fucking 1,000 degrees -0. I'll do some. I always want to do these things when it's not sunny outside. I'm always like during the winter. I'm like all this fitness stuff I could be doing. Because as soon as the winter rolls in, I'm like, yeah, in the summer, that's when I'll be doing it. But the idea of dropping off some coins in some of these places. But so they were making little badges and stuff and little, what do they call them? Challenge coins and stuff like that.
Yeah. A couple other YouTubers have given them to me over the years too. I have a Metal Jesus Rocks one that I absolutely love. It's
really?
Bronze. Yeah.
See, I got the idea because I got a friend who runs this Raymond's Capital. He's this absolutely lovely guy who got into the film industry. I think he blames me for it. He's doing very, very well now. And I just lost his coin. But and he gave me a coin. He's just like, I just like to give this to people who who mean something to me. And I was like, oh my God, he gave me money. So
hey David, could you float the stream just for a minute? I'll be right back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you got it. Ladies and gentlemen, while Barnacules is in the bathroom, let's go to the chat, shall we? See what's going on. Oh my God, it's so weird being here by myself. It just feels, you'd think I'd be like, oh my God, the power. But no, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to screw up for Barnacules. All right, what do we got? Send me, what is it? I'll buy 2. Send 1 to Miss Liz, David. Yes, that's true. I should get Miss Liz 1. But this is it. I feel like get these things out to people who are important to us, people who we have connection with, that kind of stuff. And anyone who's helped out Tech Bandit stuff was the sort of the idea. But at the same time, as my wife points out, you also maybe not a good idea just to spend money. Maybe it's a good idea to, have some come in like Maker Coins. Yeah. Well, actually, Maker Coins, I didn't know. Are there actually on Tidy Tech? Are there actually physical Maker Coins? I'd be curious to know if they have that. We're still on. I had a blackout here because of a stupid thunderstorm. Oh boy, Anima Confusa. You're getting some bad storms. Anima Confusa was having thunderstorms yesterday as well. It's impossible to screw up. It's impossible to screw up. What, this stream? It's true. It's all about screwing up this stream, isn't it? All right, David, I would buy a coin. They are awesome. Oh, yeah. See, this is the funny thing is, like, I know people would buy it, but I don't even know how to, I literally haven't thought through how I would even sell it. Like, I don't know how to like, how would you mail it to people? And every single time you mail it out, it's going to be different shipping fees and stuff. Like, that seems terrifying to me. So I know it's going to happen. It's going to end up costing me a fortune, and I'm going to have boxes of coins lining our bedroom, and my wife will leave me. And I've got it all planned out, and none of it's good.
Sorry about that.
So, no, not at all. Not at all. I was saying, like, I suddenly went, oh my God, like I should be feeling so powerful. But the reality is I'm like, oh God, I don't want to fuck it up for Barnacules.
No, fuck it up for Barnacules.
Well, someone said that. Someone said, fuck it up. That really is the way it goes. So
pimp everything. No,
Oh, speaking of fuck ups, have we heard from Gimpy G lately at all?
He was on my stream the other day in chat. He seemed like he was in decent spirits.
Yeah, because he's moved, right? Or
yeah, he told me they're in a temporary place.
They're there now? They're actually, okay, good. Okay, good. Right.
That's what it sounded like anyways when he was talking in chat. So things are getting better.
Because he was saying that like they've got a place, but it's got no internet. You're right. You need to take a breath. Do you want to do some talking for a bit while you get your breath back?
Dude, I've run up and down the stairs more in this episode than I have.
Yeah, what's going on? Is your bathroom not working up there?
No, my bathroom upstairs isn't working. I got to clear it. It's all full of shit from trying to rebuild the nerd cave.
Oh,
and then that all fell apart, and Costco still has my money. You can't say
your bathroom's full of shit. You can't say your bathroom's full of shit.
So every time I use the bathroom, I got to run downstairs, run back upstairs, and I basically have a UTI right now. So TMI for the rest of you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a urinary tract infection. So,
Jesus, what is it? Cranberry juice? Cranberry juice? What do you do?
All you do is take. Well, cranberry juice does work, but I just take AZO standard. It's a drug for it.
So you just got to pee all the time?
All the time.
Oh,
yeah, and it gets to the point where it actually hurts, and you have to. Yeah, it's not fun. Urinary tract. This is the second one I've had in like 3 months, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
Oh God!
I think the antibiotic they put me on for the ear infection just like wiped out my immune system.
Ah, dude, like you just never stops for you.
No, it doesn't.
And how are you feeling head wise? Where's your head at? Because you were having
not good.
You still seem you seem a little bit. I feel like there's the edge. There's a little edge there.
Well, I didn't stream yesterday. Even though I really needed to stream yesterday because everything's going off a cliff for me. But I had to cancel it just because the mental state I was in. If I streamed, it wasn't going to be good. So
right.
So I just made the.
But do you find it picks you up? I find it picks me up.
It does if you can get rolling. But I was to the point where I would have started the stream and I would have just lost my shit and it would have been over. Like I was way beyond the point of just like getting on there and cheering up.
So what do you do? Who do you talk to? How do you deal with shit like that?
I lock myself away and isolate and stew.
Way to go. So the equivalent of a cat crawling under the porch to die.
Pretty much. Done. Exactly.
That seems very healthy. Yeah.
But Miss Barnacules luckily doesn't let me do that. And she keeps my head just above water so I don't die. Right. And then I feel a lot better today than I did yesterday. But yeah, it's just a constant struggle. I get to see my therapist again on Tuesday. I haven't talked to her in like a month because of the holidays and everything. So that should be good.
Do you have to physically go to see her?
No, we just do it over video.
Right.
So it's like a Zoom call thing.
And what about getting out? Do you get out at all? I mean,
I rarely go anywhere these days. Like I think the last time I got out of the house was to go see a friend about month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't.
Well, my wife got the dog to get me out of the house because I was doing the same thing.
Well, the problem is I can't walk that well anymore. So my back has gotten so bad now that most of the time I'm bedridden. So because even just standing, like even just to stand and play VR for 15 minutes, sometimes will hurt my back so bad that I can't even physically get out of bed for 2 days.
Fucking hell.
So it's gotten so bad, and there's nothing they can really do about it except for I just have to wait it out till the 14th where they can do another injection, another one of those SI joint injections, and then hopefully that.
But there's nothing they can do. Like there's nothing they can do permanently. There's no sort of like.
And the pain medication has run its course. Like there's all we can do is maintain at the level that I'm at right now because I refuse to go anymore. So
because that sucks for depression too. Because the pain stuff is terrible for depression.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So it's just it's becoming a zero-sum game. So I gotta figure something out. But the biggest thing is I just have to learn to like live with the disability. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do when you go from being a hyperactive person to a person that has like chronic fatigue syndrome and can't move around and can't get comfortable and can't sleep. Like that's my biggest thing is sleep. If I could get quality sleep, I think that would turn my life around, but I can't because the pain wakes me up every like 45 minutes to reposition. And then sometimes it hurts so bad I can't get back to sleep without physically getting up and like stretching and walking around a little bit and then going and laying back down. So it's like I haven't slept through the night in probably a year.
I feel like you need like one of those Baron Harkonnen out things. They sort of float you from the ceiling or something.
Yeah,
like
I do. I need some zero-G therapy. The hot tub's been amazing though, but the weather's been so shit lately that I need to order some kind of a cover or a canopy for the top of it because all the rain comes through the leaves and the trees and stuff and fucks the pH up in the water and then you can't use it.
Oh, really? What is it? It turns into like a small swamp?
Well, not just a swamp. It just alters the pH. And if you let the pH get too high, it irritates the shit out of your skin. And if you get it too low, it fucking eats the pipes in the hot tub and destroys the seals.
So the hot tub's good then, and can you get like pads or stuff that you could just put on your back or?
I tried a lidocaine
like you gotta go Sorborg. You gotta go full cyborg, man.
Yeah, the only thing that I found that really helps, but unfortunately it's got another side effect is the TENS device. So I have a TENS device. Last night I used it a lot.
What's the TENS?
You basically put two pads on your back over the muscles or surrounding the joint, and it just shocks the piss out of your back like a taser until the
the Bruce Lee thing.
Oh. Yeah, if you put them on your pecs, they'll just be like
sweet. Okay,
and so I run that on really high power, and what it does is it numbs the nerves, and so it gives me some pain relief while it's running, and after I shut it off for about 15 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on factors. But no, I love it. TENS device is probably the best therapy, but the downside to it is it's kind of hard to use when you're moving around at all because it's pulling on those muscle groups. So like when you're walking, it's like, imagine somebody like, punching you in the butt cheek while you're trying to walk. It's a little hard to do.
Right.
And I have to run it at high power. Otherwise it does nothing. So,
oh, really? You just don't feel it?
Yeah. Well, no, I feel it, but it just doesn't numb the nerve. The nerve is really deep. So I have to put it on like a mode where it's like my whole thigh is twitching and my whole ass cheeks twitching. And that's the only way that it gets to that nerve.
And the idea is that it's supposed to numb pain.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not just tensing the muscle.
Yeah, no. The purpose of the TENS device is actually to numb the nerve, not to work the muscle. Working the muscle is a side effect.
Ah, okay.
The truth is you don't even build muscle by doing it. Like you can actually lose muscle with the TENS device. Like people think, oh, you put it on like, those things they sold on the infomercials and that's going to like strengthen your abs because it's making your muscles tense up. And it's actually not really true because what it's doing is it's providing the energy to do that. Your body isn't providing the energy to do that. So your body doesn't understand that it's running at a deficit so that it increases that and you gain more muscle mass. So it's being externally stimulated. So your body's like, oh, we don't need extra energy.
Well, that's being handled perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll keep my ATP for something else.
Exactly. And that's what will happen is you can actually reduce muscle mass doing that. So you have to use it kind of sparingly. Not super sparingly. Like I can use it every day, but you don't want to use it like 24 hours a day, all day, every day, because that muscle group will start atrophying really bad. But I love it. It's like the TENS device is probably number 2 behind pain medication. Well, actually, I'll put it number 1 above pain medication right now for like instant relief.
And if you don't have any pain medication, like if you've got nothing now, like if I'm assuming you're taking more than just like, massive amounts of paracetamol or something. You're like, you're on the,
no, I take a fair amount of oxycodone every day. So, and and if I forget to do my prescription or whatever, and I got to go without it for a couple of days, I'm basically bedridden. So it's the only thing that allows me to even like get up and move at this point. So, which sucks because I wish that wasn't the case.
Yeah, okay. You wish that wasn't the case, but is it affecting you psychologically as well? Do you think?
Hell yeah. Is it? Oh yeah, dude. Opiates are absolutely linked to depression and all kinds of shit. So yeah, after 13 years, fuck yeah. No, I know it's a big part of the problem.
Do they give you things for the other way?
Huh?
Do you do a combo? Can you do like a combo of like downers and uppers type thing?
Well, yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do right now. I take that and then I take Adderall for my ADHD, and they kind of like cancel each other out.
Right.
So, but still, not the greatest solution. But the thing is, we've explored other things. The shots so far have been the most successful, but the problem is if they miss the joint, which there's about a 50-50 chance, I have to wait 3.5 months for them to try again. Because once the medicine's in there, they can't take it out, and you can only have so much of it because anymore it'll create diabetes and stuff. So if they miss the mark, they can't just like stick a straw in there and suck it back out because it absorbs into the muscle. So
plus that'd be really gross.
That'd be really gross, right? Like, okay, I gotta suck that snake venom out, pull your pants down.
Sorry, I'll get that. I'll get on that for you.
Yeah, so every time we do the procedure, I'm sitting there looking at the screen with my fingers crossed, and I'm like, oh, come on, please get in the joint, please get in the joint, and he'll inject it, and I'll watch, and if I see the little black line turn into like a little black hair and go up into the joint, I'm like, woohoo! But every once in a while, he'll do it, and it'll go into the joint just a tiny bit, and then fart out the other side. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and when
you can actually see him doing it
in live.
How are they? What are you seeing?
It's a machine called a fluoroscope. I posted a picture of it on Instagram somewhere too. I'll send it to you later. But you basically pull your pants down and lay on this table, and they take this fluoroscope thing and stick it right at your butt cheek, and it shows a live video of your innards, like an X-ray machine, but like 60 frames per second. And then they guide a needle that's about 6 inches long down through your up right above your butt cheek. They go down into your SI joint, which is I don't know how far it is. I want to say it's like probably like 2 inches, 3 inches. And they use the fluoroscope to see the tip of the needle and line it up with the joint. And then once they lined up with the joint, they just push it against it to try to form a seal and then pump in the steroid. And you see the steroid come out. Like the steroid actually has something in it that makes it visible to the X-ray. Like it's got some kind of barium dye or something.
That's the fluoroscope part of the fluoroscope, I guess.
And that's how they can tell if they get it in the joint. Because the thing is, like where they're injecting it, it's a deep tissue injection. So they're like actually going through a muscle all the way to the other side to the joint. And when they do that, they have to make sure that they don't accidentally inject it into a vein. They have to make sure they don't accidentally inject it because it is a really strong steroid that needs to slowly release into muscle tissue. If they accidentally poke an organ or stick you in the wrong spot and inject that stuff, they could kill you. So they have to guide it in with this machine for it to be safe.
And they can't just fuse the back in places or any of that kind of stuff. There's no,
because that's not the problem. If I had a degenerative disc like that was completely gone, they could go in there and fuse it, but the problem is my discs have already calcified. They're rocks. Like I don't have a lot of bendy in my spine anymore. Like it's hard for me to even like reach around my back at all. And so, but that's good because they calcified. That means that they're more than likely not going to burst, which is really bad news. But I have bone spurs that have grown off the side because I have a 47-degree deflection at L4 and L5. So my spine doesn't go like a normal spine like this. It's actually twisted sideways and it goes like that, hooks around. Yeah. And so all my ribs on one side, if you look at my X-ray, this is what my ribs look like. On one side, they're touching, and on the other side, they're spread out like that. So it's really, it's just a freak show. And because of the bone spurs, the way they sit in proximity to that nerve bundle that goes up through your spine, they're like, we don't want to operate on that. Not until you're like old and crippled, because there's a good chance that we nick the nerve or damage the nerve in a way that, leaves you in a wheelchair. So they're like, wait until you're actually in a wheelchair, then we'll risk it.
Boy, that's a fun prognosis.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The good news is
you'll be in pain until you're in a wheelchair. Then we can stop the pain, but you won't be able to move.
Yeah. And then the other problem is there's things that they can try, but they're so ungodly expensive. It's like, I don't have enough resources to take a stab at most of them.
And the insurance doesn't cover that.
The insurance doesn't cover anything until I pay $6,000. So I got to pay $6,000 out of pocket before they'll do anything. So what I want to do is run out the clock this year. So insurance resets. Because right now my deductible is about like 3/4 of the way satisfied. So but I can't do the procedure this year because it'd be too far out. And so if I do the procedure, then they're going to end up putting it on my insurance next year. So I'm just going to wait until next year, get the most expensive procedure first, which is hopefully them putting in these nerve blockers, which are like they put in a little electrode, like subdermal electrode device that's like a TENS device, but it shocks the nerve directly without going through the muscle tissue.
Right.
And that should just completely
you have control of that.
Yeah.
And you have control of that. Right.
Well, I think it's like self-driving. I don't think it has an app or anything, but it just sits in there and it just makes the nerve numb. And they said
someone's got Barnacules' back on GitHub.
Oh, what's that?
Someone's got Barnacules' back on GitHub. Like that's like they hack your.
So they're like, they just start. Yeah. They crank up the voltage on it. I'm just getting tased in bed while I'm half asleep. I can see people doing that. There's some evil people out there.
Yeah, but as long as they donate enough,
hey, as long as they're paying my bills, I'll let them shock me once or twice. Good, make me spit out my cereal.
Why not? There you go.
But there are some other options to explore. They're just so expensive, and there's no guarantees. So like the nerve blocker only works in about half the people that get it. So once you go through the surgery and the recovery and everything, you may gain nothing.
Right.
So that of course is a fear when you're shelling out that kind
But
of
they'll
money,
still
right?
take your money.
They'll still take the money. Yeah, of course. They don't
Yeah,
give you a refund if it doesn't work.
Right.
And then there's some other things that they can do too. Some other more riskier things that they can do before they result to surgery that I haven't tried yet. But the nerve blocker is definitely like the next thing, like the next stage to try.
And the idea being is once you've got the nerve blocker, you can get off the
That's what we're hoping. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just start titrating off of that. It's like a 2-month process or whatever. And then once I'm clear of that, then hopefully the nerve blocker does a good, and that'll also help with my sleep and everything. Like oxycodone isn't good for any of that shit. But like I've been on it for 13 years. And honestly, for the first 10 years that I was on it, fucking no problems, no side effects, nothing. But
really?
now that I'm so injured up, it's like it's not as effective as it was. So I'm not getting enough of the gains, and now the cons are present.
And you're
So-
building up, I'm assuming, a tolerance to the
huge
stuff
tolerance
as well,
to
right?
it. Yeah, that's why I refuse to go up any higher, because if I go up in any higher dosing, then I start risking dangerous with withdrawal, and I'm never gonna ever do that. That's like
So what happens? So you wouldn't be able to stop it directly. You'd have to sort of start.
so for me to
yourself off it?
safely meaning with no major side effects, I'd have to titrate off of it for the course of about 2 months. Which means that every week I come down in like half a dose, 5 milligrams or something like that for the course of 2 months. And then I'd be free. Or the flip side is just do it like I do it every year, which is I call it Hell Week, where I just don't start my next prescription for a week, and I just go cold turkey. And I am.
And why do you do that?
Because it ends up building so it lowers your tolerance. So
I see. So
by
you don't have to take as much.
Yeah,
I
if you
see.
titrate off of it, your tolerance it comes down, but not nearly as much as if you just go cold turkey and just withdraw for like 3-4 days, and go back on it. Then you can take less and get the same effect for half of the next year. So it's like suffer for a week to gain 6 months of efficacy.
Right.
And
what is the suffering? What do you do? Like,
it's like having the flu. It literally is the exact same symptoms as having the flu. Like you literally get cold shakes. You get muscle pain, joint pain, like way worse than what you'd have normally.
So it's like full on junkie withdrawal shit.
Yeah, it's bad, but you're not like on the floor like kill me. Like that's what I want to avoid. I never want to be on a dose where it's like you go cold turkey and you're on the ground like literally shaking and vomiting and stuff. There'd be none of that because I withdraw it every year for the past 13. Well, no, there's 1 year I didn't do it, but for the most part over 13 years, every year I've done at least 1 week without it. And when I do, it sucks. It sucks. Like I'll lay in bed and I'm
just say, okay, I got a week. I'm taking this week off. That's it.
Oh yeah. There's no way I could stream or anything well, actually that's not true. I did stream one time when I was on Hell Week, and you could tell I wasn't the happiest person on earth, but
right.
But no, it's a
lot more people got banned.
Well,
a lot more people got banned that week.
Probably. You know what the smart thing to do would be is if I wanted to titrate off of it, is just swap it for like a benzodiazepine, like what is it? Not Lexapro. What am I thinking here? Like an azepam, like lorazepam.
Right.
Like they use, like snipers and shit used to keep steady hands. They generally use those to titrate off of opiates. Like if you don't want bad symptoms, you just basically do the titration. You just switch to it from one to the other, and then you titrate off of that because it's easier to titrate off of something when it's not giving you any like benefit.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it? Like just how many, and all the time, the pharmaceutical companies are making money getting you on it, getting you off it. Like
they make money every
not to be a
step of the way,
conspiracy
dude.
theorist in any way, but
It's true.
It's
the most profitable business on earth for a reason, man. It really is.
We got to get into that. There you go. Barnacules Big Pharma. That's it. That's next.
Yeah, opiates are horribly overused, but the one thing that I do have to add is, though I understand that, it's like, I would be really screwed without them with my condition. So unfortunately, there's some people that have exhausted their practical options. And unfortunately, chronic pain relief is the only thing that they can do. And the other problem with
they're legit useful. They're legitimately useful. I understand that. I think they've been overprescribed though, right?
Oh, undoubtedly, undeniably. And the truth is, I wish that I wasn't allergic to NSAIDs. If I wasn't allergic to NSAIDs, I never would have had to need a painkiller.
What are the NSAIDs just affect in a different way without having to have the addictive shit?
Well, yeah, because all my problems are related to inflammation. Right. So it's my sciatic nerve gets inflamed, and it stays in a perpetual state of being inflamed. It never goes down because it's constantly rubbing on those bone spurs.
Right.
And so it's just constantly agitated. And if I could take something like ibuprofen, then that would reduce the swelling. That would basically stop the inflammation in my body. And then that inflammation would go away, and that would take a lot of the pain away with it too. So I'd still limp and stuff like that, but I'd be a lot more pain free. Actually, arguably, I'd be more pain free on on that than I would on the opiate. But the problem is, because I'm allergic to that, I'm allergic to the entire class. We've tried naproxen. We've tried not safely. I went to the hospital every time. But, I've tried Aleve, which is naproxen. I've tried ibuprofen and aspirin. And all three of those drugs caused anaphylaxis in me that sent me to the hospital. And they're like, shit, you're allergic to NSAIDs. That's a fairly rare allergy, but it does happen. Shit. And so they confirmed the allergy. And as soon as they confirmed the allergy, I've had to have an EpiPen with me everywhere I've gone since. And because that's a common thing that you can run into. And they basically said, you don't ever, it looks like it's mostly an oral contact allergy, meaning I have to ingest it. So as long as, if it rubs on my skin or something, it's not going to send me into anaphylaxis. I don't have that sensitive an allergy, but if I ingest it or take a pill, it will give me anaphylaxis within like 10 to 15 minutes. So
Jesus.
So
of course,
that's
it's the one thing that'd be useful.
Yeah, the one thing,
and the one thing to be actually good. Yeah,
yeah, the one thing that would be useful and help me, and did help me for a long time, because I developed the allergy as an adult. So I used to take aspirin, like all the way through my early 20s. I took aspirin, no problem. And then I didn't take it for a long, long time. And then one day I took it and had a bad allergic reaction, went to the hospital. We didn't think we didn't think it was the aspirin, because I've had aspirin before. So they just thought it was some weird random thing I encountered that day. So then I fast forward like a couple months later, I come home and I take a ibuprofen, which I always kept in my medicine cabinet. And I took ibuprofen and I had the same damn reaction again. And I was like, okay, this is weird. This is the second time this happened. Go to the hospital, another emergency situation. Blue, the lights flashing on the ambulance. Get him there, get him there, get him there. Because my lungs were filling with fluid. And so they're like, okay, so you took that. So they looked at the medical history. They're like, okay, well, you came in here the first time. You said you took aspirin. Now you said you took ibuprofen. And then the final one was Aleve, which was naproxen, which I took it, and immediately after getting out of the shower, because my eyes were itching, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, I knew it was coming. So that time I was like, whoop, to the fire department immediately, and jumped in an ambulance, and they took me the rest of the way to the hospital. So, so after those three things, the geniuses of the hospital were able to deduce that I'm probably allergic to NSAIDs, not the specific drugs themselves, but the class of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
And there's no other form of anti-inflammatories.
Nope. Everything else is steroid based. So like, for instance, if I take prednisone, my hand swelling goes away and my back feels a lot better. But it makes me want to just like throw up and punch everybody in the face, because prednisone is a steroid-based anti-inflammatory.
Right.
So, and there's a couple other that are even higher risk, but they all have massive serious side effects. Like there are some people that have to take prednisone for life, like mainly people that have autoimmune diseases.
Right.
But in my case, it's like it doesn't warrant taking it, because it would actually do far more damage to me than an opiate ever could.
Right. It's always the balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hate to do this, but I got to run.
Oh, no worries, man.
I got to go.
The show's over. It's like you made it to the end.
Did I?
Look, you did. You did. Here, can we thank a couple super chatters before we send you on your way?
Do it. Thank you, super chatters.
You guys keep the lights on. Histario, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, hey, David, when did your part in the when did your part in the SGU, did they plan on having you on the team? And the show, it seemed that way, but then the show ended. Wait, what?
Yeah, the show. Well, there was talk about McKay joining SGU, and I was quite excited about that. And then they got canceled.
Well, that's why it failed. Now we know why it failed.
That's why it failed. Now we know.
It was missing the secret sauce.
No. They should. I mean, I don't think anyone was planning on them to not go. I think they assumed that SGU would go to 5 seasons like we did as well. I think.
I was really surprised that it got canceled, honestly. I mean, it was a little darker and quite a bit different than the other SGs, but still, I don't know why. It even had like a really good cast.
They should have run concurrently. They should have had they should have had Atlantis and SGU running at the same time, like we did with SG1. And then we could have flipped back and forth as needed, and it would have been everyone would have been happy. But I guess they only wanted one show. And
is there anybody talking about bringing back a Stargate and just getting everybody on one giant team? Come on, do it
all the time. They're talking about it all the time. I mean, and now that Amazon's in the picture,
dude, they've rebooted Amazon bought everything on Earth. It's like it'd be Star Trek, Star Wars.
I do think it'll happen. I do think it'll happen more so now than ever before. But I do think it'll happen. The question is just how and with who.
Well, if they don't bring back the Rodney McKay character, we're seriously going to protest hard.
I'll be like that old guy that they wheel in for the. Remember him?
In the chair with the red light, you don't get to say a word. It's just do 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 do. Hey, Captain Pike, tell us about do 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 do.
Exactly. And now the president of the United States.
Hey, Ben Affleck, thank you for the $2 super chat. He said, I need a good old Barnacules video, please. Thank you. Hey, man, one day I hope to get back to making videos on YouTube again. I do miss it terribly, but my environment mirrors my health right now in my life. So until that changes, that probably isn't going to happen. Yorkshire Techie, thank you for the $6.75 super chat. He said, hi, guys. What's the weather like where you are? Well, right now it says rain coming, so I don't know. I guess that means it's not.
It's
quite
like
here.
minus something now, and this snow and crap. It's like,
is it really that cold where you're at?
I mean,
Geez,
it's not
we're
cold,
lucky
not
here. It's like 50
from the window.
something.
From the window in the basement. That's what it looks like, anyways.
Oh
No, it was pretty cold.
gosh.
I took when I let the dog out this morning. It was pretty
Freaking
bitter.
Canadians, man. He said, as it's cold and snowy here, are you guys looking forward to Christmas? Unfortunately, well, for my son, yes. For me, no. I don't do well in the holidays. I always get into deep, dark depression. Usually I have to disappear for a little while.
I'm sorry. I'm a fucking Grinch.
Yeah, I don't do well.
We should do a Grinchmas. You and I should do Grinchmas.
We should. Should we just literally like Christmas afternoon through New Year's? We just have just a stream where we just bitch and complain the whole time about everything.
Oh God, no, I hate it and I love it. As you say, I love the excuse to sort of like hole up and just hang out with the family, but I feel like we've had 2 years of that now. So no.
For me, it's more like just self-reflection, and I feel like every year I'm just getting closer to the grave, and it makes me look at that and it freaks me out. It gets me into a scary place. But last year I did all right. I did a lot better than I thought I did. I still had a breakdown, but it wasn't terrible.
It's more fun with kids. It's more fun with kids.
It is.
Sure.
That's
like
what I try to focus
gotta
on.
love it.
That's what I try to focus on.
Yeah.
I just wish they just have a better
much
Christmas, because that's my biggest thing is like, every year things get, especially with COVID and everything just gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and the news tightens, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't know what our future is going to look like. So yeah.
I think you worry about that more than the kids do.
I do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they just want, it's like a couple of little, I've always said, like with Baz, it's almost not the getting them big expensive things. It's like just lots of little stupid things and attention. You know what I mean?
My kid doesn't. He does not care. Like my kid, it's like I'm the one that worries about it and overthinks it. Like he is literally the type of kid. It's like you get him a cardboard box and like a roll of duct tape, and to him that is everything. Like his brain takes over and makes the best of it.
My son would leave me for that, but yes, my son would be like, "Where's my fucking video game?"
Well, I mean, my son is like, "Hey, there are some perks to having a kid on the autism spectrum, because in this case, he's very eager to please and very happy in his own little world, and doesn't really he's not really negatively influenced by anybody else. So it's kind of cool to watch. It's actually like seeing the world through his eyes. I'm like, my God, I wish I could do that. Like it's amazing. Yorkshire, Yorkshire, thank you for the 675. You asked about the weather. He said, David, what projects are you working on?
I have, as I say, I've just finished this one for William Phillips, and then January I start with Guillermo del Toro and Vincenzo Natali, who did In the Tall Grass and Cube and Splice and all that.
Dude, I cannot believe that they are so desperate for actors that they are still hiring you.
I know.
Like,
I know. I think there must be. I think just everyone at my age is just basically bailed on the industry now, and that I'm just the,
everybody else has been canceled. You're all that's left.
I'm like, just the old white inappropriate.
Why hasn't anybody canceled David yet? Oh, he's too small. Like he's got to be over a certain threshold before he's like, like he's technically in SAG, but not really. Like he pays the fees, but they just kind of ignore him and don't invite him to the parties.
I don't know. It's kind of fun because this is an old. So Vincenzo I went to high school with him. So we were making films at 13 or 14. In fact, that's who I'm actually, we do like our weekly chat, and that's actually why I have to run. But
that's awesome. Oh God, I don't want to keep you.
He's one of the weekly folks that we chat to, and he's 13, 14 years old. We were making little movies together. So.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, I just got 2 more people to thank here with no messages, and then we can hit the bye button, and we can see them all again next week.
Very good.
Sir Deluxe, thank you for that $5 super chat. And I'm a pseudonym. Thank you. Thank you for the $5. Dude, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out. David, thank you for coming and spending some time with us. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, God, I love it. Are you kidding?
Be sure to tell your famous friends about me, just so that they at least have my name, even if they're like, who the hell are you talking about? I just want that beating around on the back of their head.
Oh, they will hear.
Yeah, just don't even tell them who I am, nothing else. Working into a conversation like Meow and Super Troopers.
Right.
And just let it go from there. For the rest of you guys, thank you for stopping by. AuxxZillary, thank you. I know you had to leave for family reasons, but if you're watching for whatever reason while you're driving, wherever, thank you for stopping by. I love hanging out with you guys. It is the highlight of my entire week, and I hope to see the rest of you guys on Monday back over on Twitch. All of our links to social media and streams are in the video description. And I will let you guys know over on the Twitter if there's any changing in scheduling or anything like that. So
the Twitter will tell you.
The Twitter. All right, guys, take it easy and we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Lots of love. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.